episode number 47. On this episode, we talk to the wonderfully talented Crow Jane, known for her LA-based bands Egrets of Ergot, the Deadbeats, Prissy Whip, and her recently released solo work on her album Master Dolorosa. You can catch her other work as a makeup artist in shows like Mayans MC, and a soon-to-be released top-secret TV show coming out on Amazon Prime Video. As always, Skunk would like to thank his friends at Godin Guitars, Tragan Guitars, Ernie Ball Strings, Five Iron Woodworks, and L'Oreal Hair Care Products. Please like and subscribe, and check out Crow Jane's new song Delusion at the end of the podcast. All right, on to the show.
Hello.
What's up?
Hello, everybody. Everybody.
Hello.
Crow Jane.
World.
Crow Jane is with us on this episode.
Hi.
I like getting females on here. I don't want to Vic, we have too many dudes, right? And
We do have too many dudes on here.
Just talk about action movies and porn, and it's just ridiculous.
and explosive bathroom stories too.
Yeah, that kind of horrible male stuff. Women don't do things like that. Anyway, so as we do with all of our podcasts, we decided to start yours off very awkwardly. So Crow Jane, you are from, we just learned, LA. Are you from there originally? You're from Los Angeles?
Yeah, Southern California. Palmdale originally, if you know anything about that area.
I used to live in LA area, but where is Palm? Because I'm thinking of Palm Springs, which
I've
is
heard of it, but
where's
guys know
Palmdale?
who Afro Man is?
Afro Man sounds really familiar.
Yeah.
Why would we know Afro Man?
He has a famous song called Palmdale because he's from Palmdale. But it's high desert. It's like past Santa Clarita. I don't know.
like 29
North,
Palms.
No.
North, south,
quite.
east, west.
Okay.
We're gonna get to the bottom of this.
North, I think.
Are we north? Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. But not on the coast. Is it more inland?
East. Yeah.
Like north of Riverside or something.
Yeah.
Like
There we
Victorville.
Yeah. Actually, yes.
Okay,
This
yeah.
is called Riverside. Does that have nothing to do with Riverside in California?
That's a good question.
I don't think so. I think the guys that named it are out of the Netherlands.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I used to hang out in Riverside a lot back when I was stationed out there. So
You know, they have a good goth scene out there, actually.
Really?
Yeah. A lot of goth kids that, they all collect and make their own clubs in their, suburban desert misery. And then
Hey, I know
escape.
it was at Riverside, but where did the Lost Boys take place? Do you know that movie from the 80s?
Yeah.
that
Right?
was
Because that
Santa Cruz, wasn't it?
maybe.
That sounds familiar, but I forget.
Dude, I got super hooked because it was John, the guy that plays keys for Good Rogering sometimes, I think, brought it up and was like, oh, we should cover this for a Halloween gig one time. It was one of the song in that movie. It's super awesome tune. I forget who does it.
Yeah, I love The Lost Boys.
Yeah, it's really cool.
I haven't watched it in a while. That deserves a good rewatch. I have it on
It really
DVD.
does.
Yeah.
It's a good every 5 to 10 year.
Yeah. And they all look
Nostalgia
really
movie.
cool.
The 80s were so cool.
The 80s were so cool.
When were you born? 1999 or 2000 or something?
No. I mean 90, but I'm not that young.
I mean, you look, Vic and I are 400 years old. So everyone that comes on the pod, some people come on the podcast. I was born in 1967. We're like, oh, you little whippersnapper, you. We were born in the 50s. We've aged well, though.
Yeah, you don't look 400 years old at all. I'm 30. I'm a good 3-0.
Wow. You look good for 3-0. So when is your birthday? Was it recent or?
No, November. I'm a fall baby.
Oh, so are you a Halloween kind of gal? Are you a goth kind of gal?
Can you tell by looking at me?
Well, actually
Yes.
the first I ruined everything because actually I was gonna come on here and I was gonna say, the first question I wanted to ask you is what was on every Texan's mind. Are you, stylistically, or as a musician, are you country or Western? What is your What's your style?
I would be, if I were to be one, I would be more Western than country, I think.
I was listening to your stuff, and I think it definitely kind of got a Taylor Swift vibe. Would you say that's? I'm just kidding.
But you know what?
I mean, that's obviously a joke. Like it's
you saying that. Okay, so when I went on a photo shoot to make an album cover, right? It was foggy. It was COVID. Me and my close friend, we were like, let's go do a photo shoot in the mountains and the trees. I really wanted this like mystical, foggy mountain photo for the cover. We are like editing it, getting the things all together, whatever. Taylor Swift comes out with an album. And the most recent one, I think, and the cover was foggy in trees. And this like almost same. I mean, not that like anyone that sees my stuff is going to compare it to Taylor Swift or whatever. But I was automatically like, nope.
All right, we abort. We have to do a whole new photo shoot now.
Abort. Yeah.
All right. Okay. It's got to be bright and sunny. What the fuck? Everything goes wrong. You're like, this is totally not even right for my brand, but I can't go foggy because of Taylor Swift ruining everything for everybody.
It is kind of too folky looking anyway in the end. I was like, it makes it look like a folk album, which it isn't.
How would you describe your style? Because it's definitely not folky, but in some ways there's like almost a folky quality in terms of like, it's like the music is kind of stripped down and you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
there's some like acoustic elements too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I always the easiest way for me to describe it is experimental because that can mean so many things, and it is.
Sure.
But I don't know, it's like a mishmash of so many different things. There's electronic in it, there is acoustic, there is, electric guitars, there's like percussive instruments that we made. So that's heavily experimental. There's post-punk, there's, it's just a mishmash. It's like a chaotic mishmash of all of that stuff.
All the different Taylor Swift albums. So when you say we, who is we? Who created that? So you have, I think, a single or two, and then you have the album that came out in September of last year.
Yeah.
And so is this relatively new? I mean, your musical endeavors in terms of you, or have you played in bands? Like, how did this project come about, and who was involved with the recording and the instruments?
When I say we, I mean me and Paul Rossler, who is my producer and really good friend. And so we recorded this album together and made the instruments. And I've been playing in bands for a really long time, and that's what I do primarily. The solo record I made, though, I don't know how long it's been now, 5 or 6 years ago or something. I worked on it heavily 5 or 6 years ago, and then just progressively worked on it over the years. And I was going to release it, but then sat on it forever because the bands took precedent. Mm-hmm. I've been playing in this band called Egrets on Ergot for feels like a decade. I think it has been. I'm not sure. And then I joined a band called Prissy Whip, and as a front person because I wanted to sing more, and I play guitar primarily in Egrets. And I'm also have played on and off in this band called the Deadbeats, which is a band from 1977, a jazz punk band.
Cool.
So all those bands took precedent. The solo record never came out. And then when COVID happened, I decided to release it. And then Kitten Robot Records wanted to release it, which was really rad. And they gave me some money. And they wanted to put it out digitally. But now it's coming out on vinyl because Mobilization Records got into the mix, which is really cool.
Awesome.
But I never thought I was going to release it. And then all of a sudden, I had all this time on my hands. And I was like, I'm going to make 5 music videos with my friends and release this album. And that's how it's been going. I've been doing a lot. It's paused a little bit now. It's slowed down a little bit. I moved and work started to come back, and I work in the film industry. So a lot of film and TV since it was paused for so long is now really busy. So I've been doing that.
In an actress capacity, or what do you do in that industry?
I do makeup and makeup effects.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So if I ever want to look like a zombie for a music video, I should hit you up.
You know who to call.
Right. Okay. So who did the photography then? You were saying you did the foggy, or I get it is foggy still kind of your thing, or I don't know who did the photos for your thing, your album?
Rachel Rossler. It's Paul Rossler's wife.
Okay.
She's also my good friend.
And then did you do several videos then?
I did.
You said?
I did.
So who are some video peeps you worked with?
My good friend Jenny, she is an animator. So her and Phoebe, who's also an animator, they both went to Cal Arts. We did the first music video, Terminal Secrets. So I got to learn stop motion animation, which was really rad.
Nice.
And I've actually been directing and producing some music videos recently, and with them. So just learning animation even more, and like learning how to, like working with a colorist for the first time. It's another band on Kitten Robot Records, but because of my music videos that we all made, other bands started to take interest and want me to actually make music videos for them, which is cool.
Yeah.
And then my friend Michelle helped me. She's a DP in Los Angeles. She helped me with the song "The Pharmacy" music video, which is more of like a horror theme.
Mm-hmm.
And then which one was after that? Oh, my friend Nesto, who's a director in Los Angeles, and Mark Evans, who's a DP, helped me with the Man's World music video, which was like a really cool, creepy black and white music video about like a twisted, spooky family. Like our pet was this prop that I made, which was a hand coming out of a snail shell. And my friends were in it, like Leilani and Tony, and like Tony was all like wrapped up in ace bandages, and Leilani was like a cut up doll character. It was black and white, and that one's really cool. And then I'm making 2 more with more film friends. One of them is someone that I met. I was on this horror movie that filmed in the Arctic for a month.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And the crew there got super bonded. And so the DP from that wanted to make a music video with me. And so we're making a music video. It's almost done for a song called Delusion on the record. And we went out to the desert and did a bunch of footage there. And then at his house, we did a bunch of footage. And I'm really excited for that one. And then my other friend Alex, we're also making a music video that's kind of like Twilight Zone. Like, it's also a lot of black and white and a lot of like surrealism and horror. And so that one should be out soon too.
Are you an old horror movie fan? Like, do you like a lot of old horror?
Yes, I do.
The old school silent movies and stuff?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I love like German expressionism and.
Oh my goodness. Have you ever heard of a band called the Invincible Czars?
That sounds familiar, but no.
Cool. Yeah, you got to look into the Invincible Czars. So I started playing with them a few years ago. They've been around a long time. Until COVID, touring East Coast and West Coast once a year, playing at theaters, doing original soundtracks to old like Nosferatu and Cabinet of Dr. Caligari and all that. It's a super cool gig. Really, we were supposed to actually play in like Anaheim or something last year, 2020, and everything obviously didn't happen.
I'll look that up. That sounds right up my alley. Yeah. That's cool.
Where do people find these videos? Like, what's your YouTube?
Just Crow Jane Noise, I'm pretty sure.
Crow Jane Noise, okay.
Yeah. See, I never really thought Crow Jane was going to become such a thing. So the problem with that name is that if you Google it, a lot of other stuff comes up.
Right.
A lot of blues, Skip James mostly, and I think Nick Cave. I didn't know this, but Nick Cave has a Crow Jane song.
I just saw that. I just saw the Nick Cave one when I Googled it. Okay, so now I see you here, so I can check out some of these videos. These look, just the imagery of looking at the stills, it looks like super cool.
Thank you.
You got a lot of like really cool stuff. I think and one reason I was asking about video, because I didn't know if you had worked. I feel like I found out about you from Eric Livingston. Yeah. Right? Like, you're friends with him, and like maybe I saw.
Oh my God.
Right?
I forgot about Eric's video. I'm such a Schmo. I don't know if we could cuss here, can we?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Go for it.
please. We never have before, but there's a first time for everything.
Yes.
Fuck, Eric did a video too. Yeah, an animation one for Circular Valley. Oh god.
Aha.
Yeah, he's a homie.
Oh, that looks like your latest one. Okay.
Yeah.
That I upload here. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Eric's awesome. I've worked with him a couple times, and he's great.
Yeah.
But
he's
I
super
must
cool.
have seen something in that capacity. I think that's how I became aware of you, and then I think we're friends on Instagram or something. Well, Facebook. I don't use Instagram that much, but
Sounds about right.
I don't know.
Yeah, Eric's
You're
rad.
30. The 30-year-olds use Instagram. What? I can't keep up with the generations. Like
I'm not.
you're like between Facebook and TikTok somewhere.
Yeah, I'm not like a super social media person. I actually have the record label has somebody like working the social media, helping me because I'm so bad at it.
Oh, I envy that. I fucking hate it. And I gotta do it all. I hate it so goddamn much.
I wouldn't do it if I had to.
Nah, it sucks.
Yeah.
It's really time consuming.
Yeah, it
but you
really
kind of
is.
like have to like, I'm at a point where I don't like sit there and be like, look at my. I mean, that's like dumb shit. You like send to your friends and fiance like look at my meal that I made. I don't post it on social media, but it's like doing this, doing that, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And then the problem is there's that, and I'll be honest, like, but then I start scrolling. You know what I mean? And I'm in all these different groups, and like next thing you know, you're going down a rabbit hole, and
Yeah.
just like son of a bitch. So did you shoot this video with Eric? Was that in the Bay Area that you did that, or down in LA?
Eric.
Or is it all an animated thing?
Yeah, it's all animated. So Eric did it
Okay.
on his own. I told him like what I wanted the concept to be, like in what vein and where it was coming from, based off of what the song is about. Because the song is based off of a short story, actually, called Circular Valley. It's pretty. All the songs are kind of like on the nose of things. So I gave him a reference for that, and then he just used it and made an animation. He wanted to do watercolor for it, and I think that's a really great idea. And
It's interesting.
yeah, it came out really cool. It's like the most colorful video. Yeah, he's really, really talented. I try to hook him up with other people that need animators as much as I can, because he's rad.
Yeah, he's great. He's been doing a lot with Ipecac lately, so I mean that's pretty.
Yeah, he's good.
Doesn't get much better than that,
Yeah.
Speaking of, hold on.
Did you see the most recent Satanic Planet? I think he did. It's with Steve-O.
It's bad. Oh, not well. I saw they did a video. They just put out a video, which I saw.
Yeah, and it's like Steve-O talking about Satanists.
I don't think
it's really good.
I know. I saw something about that, but I don't. I just think I saw a video. I just saw a post like today or yesterday, really recently, about something to do with Steve-O. So it's just Steve-O fucking yapping about Satanism.
Yeah, but yeah, in a really funny way. He's like, all my friends would be in hell, so therefore hell sounds great. And it's just, all these like Satan images that Eric drew like flashing. Well, it's really good.
Yeah, that video is really cool, and it's interesting. It's like do you know any of those other guys that are in that? I guess Eric has did something in that project musically, even, I thought, but I could be wrong.
I'm uncertain of that, but yeah, I met Eric off of my friend Angie, but Eric also knows Justin Pearson and Michael Crane, and those are homies of mine as well.
Okay, yeah.
So he's in the bubble with all of them.
Are those? I mean, I know Justin Pearson's in San Diego.
Yeah.
Michael Crane? Was he in L.A. or where is he at?
Michael Crane's in LA, yeah.
Yeah. Michael Crane, God bless him. I love Dead Cross and the Cunts and everything, but God damn it, he sold me a wrong shirt. So I went and saw the Melvins when I was in San Francisco, and I saw Bungle in San Francisco in February, right before the world shut down, right?
Rad.
And probably even got COVID at that time. But like, so then it just so happened that the Melvins were playing. They were touring with the Cunts and with. Do you know Kevin Ripmanis He used to play with the Melvins, and he's got a band now called Hepatitis.
Mm-hmm.
They're awesome.
Yeah.
Hepatitis is so cool.
They're super rad.
And do you know them?
Yeah.
Do you know Gina, his wife?
I don't know Gina. I've met Kevin I've met him at a bar a few times, and then I met him when Hepatitis played with the Melvins down in San Diego, and I went there with Matt Kronk, and who's also a homie from Cunts and stuff.
Yeah. Well, they were Hepatitis was kick ass.
Yeah.
I hadn't really even heard him, and I've listened to him quite a bit since. And but I had licensed an image from Gina a while back for one of my bands, and so I've kind of talked to Gina a few times. And when I saw that the Melvins were playing, they were playing Slim's, which is unfortunately closed now in San Francisco, right? Mm-hmm. And so I was like, oh man, I want to go to the Melvin anyway. So I was fortunate enough to get hooked up with that, right? Cool. And so it was Hepatitis, which was great, and then the Cunts, and then Melvins. But yeah, it was pretty funny. Michael Crane was just like, somebody in the crowd said something, and that place was like fucking packed and just sweaty, nasty bar, and somebody said something. He was in the singer. This was right before COVID happened too, and I was just like thinking, oh my God, can you imagine now? The singer was like, I don't know if this is a thing he always does, but he's like, who is the singer? Is that the guy? Who's the guy you just mentioned?
Matt Kronk.
Okay, so that's your homie.
Yeah.
And he was just like flinging fucking sweat on, like and he's just like flinging fucking sweat on people, right?
Yeah.
And then some guy said something, and Michael Crane was just like, wait, who said that? He's like, fuck you. It was just hilarious. But they were great. I mean, anyway, but my point is if you ever see Michael Crane, tell him he owes me the right shirt. I bought a shirt, and he gave me, what do you call those things? The Bahamut? What is that fucking satanic thing called? What is those things? I should know. It's all in my video that Eric did, and I can't think what those. Right, starts with a B.
Right.
Bahamut.
What?
God damn it, satanic thing with the horns, and it's like you would know this thing. It's everybody knows it. I gotta Google the fucking thing.
Is it like a different shirt design than you requested, or?
Yes, because I was like, oh, that's badass, and then I didn't like unroll it, and I was like talking to him. He sold it to me, and then and I like later opened it. I was like, oh, god damn it.
Yeah. Okay, I know the shirt design you're talking about with Satan, right. And it's like the girl sucking Satan stick. Bap helmet. How the fuck do you say this?
It sounds like you're trying to say bat helmet.
I could never be. I mean, imagine like nobody in Satanic Planet would even talk to me now. Like this is embarrassing. Like they're like, he doesn't even know how to say that satanic thing. Baphomet. I don't know. Y'all should know what that is.
Yeah. Yeah, I know
Vic,
I know what you're talking about.
Vic, you're an avid Satanist. You should know this.
I keep wanting to. It sounds like you're trying to say badminton.
Badminton.
No, this is. I'm not talking about a privileged white guy sport. I'm talking about a satanic symbol.
Are you talking about Bad Company, the band?
Yeah, the tribute Bad Company band, which was Brian's favorite. Yeah,
I'll let him know.
Hey,
shirt.
Yeah, no, I mean it's I literally wanted to it was like the next day, and it was like the Mr. Bungle show, and I wanted to text me like, yo, dude, can you bring the right shirt to Mr. Bungle?
You should have. He would have been totally cool.
He didn't even fucking respond to me anyway. I was just like, hey. So what I was going to say though is some people are very like myself. I just say anything and have no good judgment whatsoever about my future career or being canceled or anything. But some people don't like to shit talk and say, like when we're like, oh, what bands do you hate? They're like, oh, well, I love everything. And are you like that? Or are you just like, I hate certain shit? What a weird question, right? I mean, you're gothy. Aren't you supposed to hate stuff?
I do hate stuff. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay, good. Let's fucking hate some shit on this episode. Tired of all this nice bullshit. These people are too afraid to be mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I don't mind talking some shit for sure. If it's just, it's like usually stem out of it's all personal opinion anyway, Whatever I don't like, somebody else loves. So who the fuck cares what I think?
No, it's true. I feel like that exactly. It's totally subjective. Whatever I don't like and someone else likes, it just means that they're wrong, and that's all. So tell me, okay, first of all, actually, before we get into what you hate, which I can't wait, what do you like? What what are some of your big musical influence? Because kind of listening to your stuff, I was kind of like, I don't know, like some people you can really kind of hit the nail on the head and be like, oh, that sounds very much like this. I'm wondering what some of your big like vocal influences are, singer influences, and just musical like bands in general.
Did you just listen to the solo album? I'm curious. Just the solo album?
That's all I've heard. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I feel like you would like my band Prissy Whip a lot too. I just want to throw that out there.
I do like the name already. So
yeah, it's more of a math rocky avant-garde, noise rock type band.
Yeah. Okay.
But anyway, to which that I used vocalists like Nina Hagen, and Lene Lovovich as like influences. I think an overall over the board influencer is of course Susie, because I'm
for some reason I knew you were gonna say that.
I'm a stereotype. I'm a cliche. Proud of it. Yeah, Susie definitely. For the solo record, I also pulled from Laurie Anderson. I also pulled from tribal shit. I really wanted to get fucking tribal with it, which Susie also has a different band called Creatures. Mm-hmm. I pulled from that. I also pulled from Tom Waits. Tom Waits' Rain Dogs was an influence. Neubauten was a major influence, especially with all the different percussive instruments that I'm banging on. And thinking, what else?
I listened to the solo stuff, and there were some elements in there. Your voice, it reminded me of a singer called Poe back in the day.
Poe, I don't know.
Poe.
The singer.
Yeah.
I remember Poe.
Yeah.
That's cool. Poe, like Edgar.
It was very cool.
I
think that's why she chose the name, because I think some of her songs are based off of some of the stories.
Cool.
I think the second album, her brother wrote a book, and so it's kind of based on that. But I can't remember what her real name is. But she got into a dispute with her record company and hasn't really popped up since. But it was like early 90s or something.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that name in a long time, but I remember Poe.
But I was listening, taking a break from moving today. I was listening to some of the solo stuff, and I was like, oh man, that's cool. I like that. So
thank you.
But it reminded me of that. I was like, man, that's some really cool stuff.
Cool. You guys are teaching me some things. I'll look that up, Poe.
I just heard a band that is badass, dude. I don't know if I've told you about this yet, Vic, but I did a post the other day because I've just started like making like what I called weekly Spotify lists, but they actually are like maybe monthly by the time I actually get around to like updating some shit. And by the way, we put every guest on the podcast. I have a playlist that I put them on, and then if you would like, send us a song and we'll put it at the end of the podcast and all that kind of stuff. I like to try to share everyone's music, but
cool.
Anyway, and I have just put a post like, hey, who wants to be on? And so people are just like, so people are like, of course, going like, my band. And then, but someone randomly posted like this band called, for fuck's sake.
Brain fart.
What? I'm just like, yeah, total brain fart. Because then, Guapa. They're called Guapa, I think. Let me make sure. Let me look this up.
Are you sure it's not Brazilian and pronounced Hapa?
No, yeah, it's not. It's not Orapa. It's not Hapa, which I love. No, this band is called Guapa, and they're from, I want to say they're from like Sweden or something. Yes, sweet. Is that a good? What was that? I was looking at Google and I heard a noise. Oh, that was a good thing. Okay. Yeah, like if you like math rock and death in Sweden, and well, that's more Finland maybe, but that whole area, right?
Yeah.
And like math rock. You like Opeth?
Mm-hmm. I mean,
I love Opeth.
Yeah, like I have a metally strand. Yeah. A metally side to me. Yeah.
But this band is like kind of, oh man, I don't know how to describe it. The singer sounds basically just like Bjork. And when I heard it, and
cool.
I was just like,
oh, that's another influence of mine for sure. So,
Bjork is awesome. Check out this band Guapa. They are badass. It's really cool. Yeah. And she's totally got the Bjork vibe going, but
I love
very,
that.
very cool music too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bjork is awesome. I was like, go ahead.
I was just going to say that she was also an influence in terms of like the visual, like how many, like it became important to me to do visuals for these songs, and Bjork was also an influence for that. Like her music videos are fucking amazing.
She is, and she was so kind of like ahead of her time, right? I mean, she was doing stuff in the 90s that was just like, wow, this is when I was like, this is weird. And now I'm like, God, that's so awesome, you know? Fortunately for me, like a drummer in my band, like way back was like when we sort of did our first demo turned EP, he had this idea to cover a Bjork song. And I was like, well, I haven't really listened to much Bjork, but we did the song Isabel. And then that's what kind of sold me. And I heard that, and then I went and listened to that album, which I forget what album, it's like 95 or something. I was like, damn, this shit is really, really good. I've always wanted to cover that song Army of Me, too. That's just such a badass song.
Yeah, it is.
Groove. Yeah. All right, I'll stop geeking on Bjork. But yeah, Guapa, check them out.
I will. One more Bjork geek thing. I watched a video. I watched a video of her performing with an orchestra in Japan, and I was like, dang, that's goals. Major live show goals. This is so cool.
I feel like everyone in the U.S., I mean, maybe not you're a country star because then you're like, woohoo, I'm right at home. Yeehaw. But if you're like a rock guy or something, like I feel like you aspire to go to like the magical plains of Europe and Japan where people like your music. Where people appreciate music still.
Yeah.
And don't just go, this is what I was told to like.
Yeah.
And I like
that's still a thing. Well, I mean, the whole middle of America is like, you might as well skip it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Our first show is in San Francisco and our next show is in Chicago. Cool. Right.
Yeah, just drive on through it. Otherwise, it's kind of just depressing. I mean,
there's like that one guy in Nebraska that's like, man, I really wish Mr. Bunko would play here.
Sometimes, though, it's the one guy or one person in the audience that you're playing to that you're like, the show sucks. There's no one here. This venue sucks. Why are we in Boise, Idaho?
It's so true, though. So true.
But that one person that's so stoked. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's one thing that's actually cool. I mean, I've only been through the Midwest really once, but it was actually really, really cool, and I enjoyed it. You know, I mean, it was that Czars band, so it was a bit of a different kind of gig. It's a little bit of an easier thing than the DIY, you know, rock gig, which is pretty rough. But like, yeah, I mean, it's cool because I think a lot of places like that, you get real spoiled living in a town like fucking Austin, right? Or if you live in LA or you live in New York, it's like, first two things. First of all, everyone in the universe lives there and there's music and culture all over the place all the time. Secondly, you're like, at a certain point, you're like, well, I don't want to leave my house because everyone's in a band and I don't want to deal with fucking traffic. So fuck it, you know? But if you live in like the middle of fucking nowhere and a rock band comes through or whatever, it's like the most exciting, awesome thing ever. So you got to like keep that in mind. And, you know, it's fun to generalize. That's what we do, obviously. Right. But like there are those diamonds in the rough. And I think a lot of people will say that sometimes those little podunk bullshit gigs that you're like, ugh, let's just get through it, turn out to be an amazing experience.
Yeah,
you know? And you meet amazing people.
I was actually going to say that because on the last full country tour that I did with Prissy Whip, actually, we played a lot of DIY punk houses and DIY venues. That was majority of what we played, and we wanted it that way. And we discovered some amazing underground punk houses and scenes in all across the different states. Like Utah had a really awesome underground punk scene, and they were so angsty because they were so like, fuck Mormons, you know, like
because they live in Utah.
Yeah, and they were cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Got good beer there too.
Yeah,
that's a big Simho. How's the beer? I don't give a shit.
Yeah, how's the beer?
Good beer. Do they have IPAs here?
It's getting dark in my room. Should I turn a light on? Like, because the sun is going down?
No, this is more gothy. Are you gonna fly away like Lost Boys style in the middle of the interview?
Yeah.
Wow, man, our podcast like ratings will skyrocket. Girl turns into bat on podcast.
Yeah, I wish I was that cool.
Right, I also thought it'd be kind of cool to be a vampire and be able to like live forever and I don't know that the bat thing's weird flying around.
I think you have to shop at Hot Topic if you want to be a vampire, right?
Oh, really? Is that the thing?
I think Hot Topic is more like anime now and like Katy Perry or something.
Yeah, geez,
that's what South Park said anyway.
Oh, really? I think I remember that episode.
It was the goth kids versus the vampire kids.
Oh, yeah. That episode was good.
That's right. That was really good. I love the goth kid and the guy with the hair in his face.
Yeah, and the dancing.
He's all like conformist.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm such a nonconformist. I'm going to conform to everybody else.
Yeah.
God, Vic, when we first met, man, and I was teaching at Strum, it was like, it's so funny because that was the Guitar Hero days, right?
That's
and
right.
I had those kids that were just like that. They had the hair kind of hanging down their face. And they were just like, some of them could like barely play. And they're like, I want to play Avenged Sevenfold. And I'm like, nah, dude. It doesn't work that way. You kind of like need to learn these other things first. But like Sinister Gate's like the best. No, he's not.
Wow, is that band still around?
I think they are. I think right. I was like, they're good, but I think it's like, I don't know.
I think I can't remember. A really long time ago, I saw Slayer at Universal. I think it was Avenged Sevenfold that was also on the bill. But anyway, it just reminded me of that. It was such a crazy cool show.
Avenged Sevenfold or Slayer?
No, Slayer.
Yeah.
I think I skipped the beginnings, just came in for Slayer.
Oh, man. So I saw... Go ahead.
I was just going to say that we were like up in like, nosebleed section, cheap seats. And they had all like the security people all lined up, like blocking the pit section because you had to pay more money to go to that. But when Slayer started, just like all these metalheads, big beefy metalheads, just like crawled all down the seats and like took over security. And it was just this huge, massive pit. And that looked brutal. Like I was a pit person. But I didn't go in that pit.
Man, Slayer is the real shit. And it doesn't matter if you're fucking 16 or 97. If you're one of those fucking Slayer fans, you better get the fuck out of the way, man, when that stuff goes down. Those people are crazy.
Yeah.
I always make fun of the Slayer, which is probably not wise because some Slayer guy will probably kill me someday. But like, I always make fun of the Slayer fans who are just like they're like 50 years old and they're still just like, Slayer's the only thing in them. Yeah. Everything that's not Slayer sucks. Let's fight.
I know. That's such a real thing.
Just give them a little meth and be like, just take this. Go away. All right. Slayer. But when I saw Slayer, I had never seen Slayer, shamefully, but I saw them on a recent tour here in Austin. There was a big bill. It was Anthrax, Testament, Lamb of God, which was really good, and Behemoth. And Behemoth was badass. Have you seen them live? They're the most satanic ass motherfuckers I've ever seen. It's just crazy satanic, but we were just loving it because it was so over the top ridiculous, wearing fucking horns and just like black metal at its like these guys. Oh my God. And I saw like one of their videos and you're just like, oh my God. It's just like, it's hardcore, but it's really well done. Like they take it all the way. Like if you're going to do it right. You know what I mean? And,
yeah.
And the visuals and everything about it was just like that brand. They just nailed it. And I mean, they're a pretty popular band, but I was pretty impressed with their show. We've talked about this. A funny band to me, and we've talked about this before on the podcast, is Ghost. Because Ghost's whole brand is the inverted cross and the mask and the thing, and you would think it would be this like fucking heavy,
super
cool,
metal thing.
And then you see him, and it's just like, it's not that at all. I don't know what it is. I mean, it's not bad. It's just like it's bizarre how, but it's funny to me. Like you get these like super metalhead guys who are like Ghost, and you're like, yeah, but it's kind of like not even heavy at all. It's weird.
Yeah. It's more like
theatrical.
Yeah, like wizards and shit, right? Like about
I don't know
fantasy.
if it's like that. Man, there are some serious fucking, and I think there's there's all these different genres and subgenres of metal and all that. I think there's literally one, I don't know what it's called, but like it's super just, wizard nerd metal or something, right?
Yeah.
Where people dress up and like fucking, like, oh my God, I wish I could remember. Oh, this band, they came here and I kind of wish I'd have seen them, dude. And apparently it was packed and people are loving it. They have the cheesiest videos like ever in the history of the world, like where they're flying around on fucking asteroids and superhero costumes and fighting with big hammers and shit. It's the funniest god, and it's like a real thing that people love. Like there's this there's a little subcult or whatever. Now I really kind of want to find out who that is now, Vic. But anyway,
yeah.
Are you talking about the Avengers?
No, I'm not dude, like superhero. There's just too much superhero shit. Are you a superhero fan?
Not mostly, no. But like I agree, there's way too many. Like superheroes have taken over the movie theaters, and it just
right.
keeps,
it's like the only thing there anymore.
Yeah, it just keeps happening because they make money. Because so many people love superheroes.
Fucking nerds.
Like it was cool for a while, but like there's some things that I like. Like I like Batman.
Right.
I like the Joker specifically a lot, and
like the character or the movie.
Both. Mostly character, and then I like most of the Joker movies.
I was on tour when that movie came out, and it was crazy because we were playing like Alamo Draft Houses and theaters. And the night that movie came out, man, they had security. They were checking everybody's backpacks and the whole big thing.
Yeah.
Because remember what happened when the Batman?
Yeah.
That got some
Denver.
asshole shot up with in Denver.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
brutal.
Yeah. Unfortunately. And then I don't want to get into this topic too much, but there's been a couple of shootings recently, right? Yeah. It almost seemed like the upside of the pandemic and everything being shut down, we weren't having like mass shootings, right?
Yeah. Actually, I was listening to this podcast some homies of mine do called Even More News, because they have a YouTube channel called Some More News, and it's just mostly political. And they were interviewing somebody that knows a lot about politics, knows a lot about gun laws and lack of them, and knows a lot about guns. And what I didn't know that he informed me of in listening to this podcast was that a lot of the people that are making these laws about gun control, or lack thereof, don't know a lot about guns.
Oh. That's usually the deal with any lawmaker.
Yeah. So
exactly.
There's all these fucking loopholes. And there's just all these things that don't make sense that allow people to very easily go get an AK if it fits certain guidelines, and the next day go shoot someplace up. Like,
I'm going to be honest. Like, I think profiling and judging anyone on skin color and all that kind of stuff is wrong. But I think we're at a point where anyone like under the age of any white male under the age of 30 should not be allowed to buy a gun. Right? Because it's right. Remember the Chris Rock bit when he was talking about, he's like, I'm afraid of white people. Like, it's always like that white fucking crazy teenager or some shit, right? That does the mass shootings.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that like background checks and like even, things that like, I don't think the amount of time that in between getting a gun and then like the person that wants to shoot a place up matters that much. I think it matters in a suicide way, because like anything could happen in a matter of days or hours to make you change your mind about suicide. But I feel like the people that plan to shoot up a place, they've been planning it for a while, and they're like very passionate about it, and they will probably do it no matter like if it takes 5 days to get the gun or if it takes a few months. It doesn't
matter. That's the problem.
Yeah. But like background check, like so many things that could be like way more intensified in terms of like, anything, like where you come from, what your family, if abuse, like history of like any of these things that point to a direction of like, maybe shouldn't trust this person with a gun, like.
I feel like it's almost impossible to do that, because then you run into the same problem as with anything, right? You can't just go like, well, you can't get on a plane because you're Muslim and someone who is Muslim blew up. You can't do that. And it's the same way with that. Like, I obviously was joking. It's like, you can't just go like, well, we see that there was abuse in your family, therefore you're never allowed, which is, I mean, it is a potential, no pun intended, trigger, but I mean, it's like, it's such a
tricky thing. Like, how do you keep like the freedoms that this country so-called preaches about, these like freedoms, these so-called freedoms that you have, but then how do you also at the same time like make things like mass shootings less? I think for me, like, a lot of it boils down to like the lack of mental health. Like,
no, that's the underlying problem. Obviously, this is obviously this country and maybe the world. I mean, third world countries don't have that luxury, right? It's like the way everybody used to be at one point, right? Is like your MO is survival, and finding a way to put food in your mouth and make money to make ends meet. But then now you've got these generations that are all kind of like those things, like you're comfortable enough, right? And so then the focus has shifted, and I think there's just a lot of horrible television and things in our culture that has like poisoned the minds of each upcoming generation for many years now. And it's like, so you've got this like epidemic of narcissism, right? And I feel like people just they want to get their 15 minutes and they don't know how to do it, and that's how some people do it. I mean, everyone gets fucked with and picked on and bullied and has issues. Most people don't go shoot up a school and shoot people, right? That's what gets me about mass shootings and serial killers and all that shit, is like, why isn't innocent people? Like, if someone like, I know this is kind of a messed up thing to say, but if someone like went and shot somebody and there was like a reason and a clear motive, like, oh, this guy, like if you were being bullied and there was one guy at school, like there's always been that guy that was a bully and everyone was, you're just like, I want to fucking kill that guy, right? But you don't do it. But at least it makes sense if it's like there was that one guy who was like giving you a wedgie every day and fucking when you killed that one guy. But why go shoot up a whole fucking classroom of all your class? That's fucking crazy. I don't understand that. But I mean, obviously someone that's going to go do a mass shooting is not dealing with a logical, thought process anyway. So,
yeah.
Vic, what's your thought? I'm sure you've got something to say about all this.
I don't know. Where do I start, man? Let's see. What were the latest shootings?
Well, there was Boulder, but there was one right before that, right? There's been two really recently.
Which one was Boulder? Boulder was that was the one that went to the convenience store.
No,
the Syrian guy, right?
Was that okay?
Yeah, he was a Syrian dude, shot all 10 white folks, right?
Yeah.
Well, there was another one but the one before that was it where there was Asians that were
But yeah, so that guy, well, it wasn't. It was like 6 Asians and like, was it 8 people total? Like majority of them were Asian people, but it wasn't. That guy was saying that so mentally ill, right? He is. I think they said that he had a sex addiction, and he's been to therapy for it, and so he would go to these massage parlors, and he didn't want to go through. Because he was an addict, he didn't want to go through it again. So his rationalization was to let's go, like, get rid of the temptation, right? So it wasn't like a racial thing. That guy was just, he was a nut, right?
Yeah,
so,
I mean, you're just dealing with fucking crazy people, man.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know that came out. Because actually, the last thing that I heard was like that the motive was, people were uncertain what the motive was, because a lot of the times the motive actually comes out with these mass shootings, and a lot of the times it has to do with like politics or race or like or something, like even this guy, which is crazy, like something happened to me based off of like this type of person, like my mom beat me and treated me poorly and touched me in places, so now I hate women and kill them all. You know what I mean?
I feel like that's the serial killer every time.
Oh, that's Ed Kemper, man.
Every time, huh?
Yeah,
that's Ed Kemper.
Yeah. It's
Yeah, it's really interesting.
He was the co-ed killer. But that's exactly right. His mom abused him. And I think his mom was a teacher at a university somewhere in Southern California. And so he went and killed college co-eds.
Wow.
That was really crazy. Yeah. He's still alive, too.
This is a dark topic, y'all.
I was just gonna say it's we really went goth on your episode.
Look how dark it's getting in my room.
It's like okay, it's like literally getting dark. The subject matter is dark. It's just gonna be a very dark conversation on.
I really want to turn on a light. Can I really turn on a light?
Go for it. Yeah.
All this. Yeah. You're probably afraid now. This killing talk.
Oh.
All right.
Okay, now we can talk about happy stuff. So, what's your favorite bro country song?
Bro country song? I don't even know if I could.
No, that's the correct answer. I don't know. I don't know a bro country song is the correct answer. You passed the test.
Trying to find what could fit in this category.
No, don't.
Speaking of dark
topics,
please. what is your favorite bro country song?
Yeah. Look, we're going to get even more dark. We're going to talk about Nashville and what it deems worthy of commercial success. It doesn't get any darker than that. Where were we before we started talking about murder? The Joker, right? We were talking about superhero. Where the fuck are the superheroes? God damn it. We need real life superheroes doing something about all this shit.
Yeah, well...
But no, you know what's even worse is there are those people though that they run around and like pretend they think they're actual superheroes. It's like, oh, dude, you're a fucking come on.
Yeah.
And then they probably get. I feel like I saw. Okay, so I had never seen those Batmans that after it was really funny. We were talking about this kind of recently, Vic, but I saw part of an interview with George Clooney, and he was actually talking about how there was some role he didn't take because he was doing that Batman and Robin movie at the time. He's it turned out to be like literally. Described one of the on Wikipedia described as one of the worst films of all time.
Yes.
And so then they totally didn't do anything for a while, and then Chris Nolan came out with the newer Christian Bale serious Batman Begins, which I saw for the first time recently. And then what was the next one called? Batman, the one with
Dark Knight.
The Dark Knight, Night Rises or something with Heath
No,
Ledger.
The Dark Knight.
Just The Dark Knight. So
The Dark Knight, yeah.
I've seen part of that one.
That one's good.
Yeah, and he, Heath Ledger. I think he won an Academy Award for that or something.
Yeah, he's amazing in it.
Yeah,
and then he died, which was even.
And then
more
he died.
crazy.
Yeah. So I really do kind of want to watch that, but it's a much two things. Like the way they treated that, it was like we went away from the campy comic book shit, and they kind of made it more of a real thing, right? And so I think it definitely needed that treatment, and it worked. Another thing that in that movie though, it was really funny because I remember it was really recently I saw that the beginning of it was like Batman's doing his thing and there's all these like wannabe Batmans running around trying to stop crime.
Oh yeah, wearing hockey pads.
Go home, you fuckers. But yeah, you get these kind of guys who I'm going to go be a vigilante, and then they get killed, or it's like, come on, stay home.
Yeah. You're talking about the people just running around in capes. I thought you were talking about the people that like if I see another white guy bragging about how much charity work they do, it's just I mean, I'm glad that they're doing it, but it's I just roll my eyes. You know what I mean? It's like, do it and don't preach about it. How about that?
That's exactly it. Yep. If you have to tell people all the cool shit you're doing, then God, I hope I don't do that. Well, that's the thing with social media, right? You almost can't win because it's like, I don't want to come off like I'm a big narcissist, but it's like, well, here's what I'm doing, but I don't want to be like, I'm the greatest person ever. Look at my badge.
There's a difference. There's a very noticeable difference. There's information, there's informative, and then there's just and then there's bragging.
Yeah.
And maybe there could be a thin line sometimes, but there's just specific people that,
Or it's the one-uppers too, right?
Yeah. Where in my mind, when I'm thinking of it, it's like, oh, what are you doing today? It's just like saving the planet one day at a time. What are you doing? Oh, you're sitting at home. Shame on you. You're like, okay, sorry.
It's like, I'm a vampire. I'm gonna go out tonight and fuck up all the shit that you saved earlier.
Yeah. But back to the Joker.
Do you know someone that actually said that?
What? Oh.
I'm going to start using that. Actually, that's pretty funny. Like, you know, just because people say, "What are you up to?" I'm always just like, doing all right. Now I'm just going to start getting all deep and be like, saving the planet one day at a time. Man. I'm like, Jesus Christ, you. Okay, this guy's about to go shoot up a school. Somebody do something.
Oh yeah. So back to the Joker. I went to a screening of the most recent Joker, and I loved that movie. I don't know. Did
that
you guys
was
like
really
it?
good.
Like Joaquin Phoenix killed it, and
great actor.
But the most amazing thing that I thought that night was the composer of that movie was there, and this woman, and she was awesome. And so what I didn't know was that she composed the music with the director. Actually, not all of it, but like the main song that's in it, like when he's walking down the stairs, like dancing down the stairs. They made that before the film, and like spawned off a bunch of ideas from it, which I thought was really cool. Like, and commonly musicians and composers aren't involved in the things like the screenings and stuff, like, and how much attention was being brought to it, I thought was really cool. And it's a really amazing soundtrack, and they actually had it there live when he was dancing down the stairs to like get him in the zone. It wasn't like some thing that they thought about after that. They were like, oh yeah, this fits. Like, it was a very thought out process.
Very cool.
Yeah, I forget her name, but I loved that soundtrack.
I'm going to have to watch that again and just pay attention. I loved the whole movie. I didn't know what to think of it when I saw the trailer, and then I was on a flight home and I watched it, and I was like, holy shit, this is really good.
Really good. It's weird because I remember watching it and having like a discomfort about the frailness of our society and how we're talking about this narcissistic jumble, just how messed up we all are. And watching that movie, and it was like, it just had that. And then sure enough, it almost felt like a prelude to a lot that went down in 2020, right? I mean, just watching people lose their goddamn minds, on all kinds. I mean, every time anything happened, it was just like, people running around burning shit down, It was like, it's just like the Joker.
I feel like that's part of the reason why I like the Joker stories and like Batman and Gotham City so much, is like the way that it connects to a lot of the harsh realities of
that is one thing about that particular comic book character. Like, I mean, it can be real campy, like the old TV show and some of those, one or two of those Batman movies in the mid 90s or whatever. But like, there's a realness about it, right? Even though you put it in a comic book fashion, that's like really resonates. I think it in the same way that like something like Star Wars does, right? Because it resonates on a bigger level with just the universal fundamental truths of humanity and good and evil, right? And you can spin that all kinds of different ways. But I think those great stories and those great characters are almost always rooted in that, or can be, right? And I think that's one thing, at least in my mind, that kind of makes Batman maybe a little more, I don't know if believable is the right word, but realistic, especially with the Joker. Like, that's a believable character, and I don't know. I don't know enough about all these other fucking superhero movies. Avengers Squad running around, with CGI, flying through the air with CGI effects and shit is like less believable than a Batman story, right?
Yeah, it's true. I'm biased because I just like it.
Well, that's one thing we've figured out on this podcast. Batman's awesome, and every other superhero is stupid. So that's been settled. Cool.
Yeah. Anyway, what else are we talking about? No pressure.
I mean, I'm like Darth Vader or the Emperor. I'm just trying to get you to like hate on stuff. That's my. Yes. I started getting. You said something, and I was like, yes, come to the dark side. So we've talked about your influences. Yeah. What are some bands that you just loathe?
Like current bands or bands from history?
Just anybody. Any band.
There's so many, but
well, let me put it this way: we've been trying to find our, this is episode 40, God knows, but we're trying to find like a thing to do with certain episodes. And again, this is not for every guest, but it's like we came up a few episodes back, like something happened where we came with this thing where we're like, who would your 5 bands that you put on the Titanic beat, right? So I'll put it to you. Who are your 5 Titanic bands?
Creed.
Yes. That's I love the way that was just knee jerk, no thought. Creed was like first on the ship.
Well, this weird thing happened. Like, my dad's a very classic rock guy. Like, that's how I like discovered Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath and like Deep Purple and shit like that. You know, like the dad, classic rock dad. But there is this weird phase that he went through, like in a crisis.
God, I so know that phase.
Crisis-y time, and all of a sudden he was really into Creed. And would like blast them when he would shower, and we were just like, "What the fuck?" So that like just popped into my mind.
And then you're immediately also like in the shower after that, like trying to get the Creed off. Like,
yeah, Creed and Saliva. We could put them on the boat. On the Titanic.
I don't know Saliva really.
It was like
I guess
90s, another 90s.
They had like one
all those 90s
songs,
bands that had those songs that were like, like, you know what I mean? Like, okay, Stained is a good example. Now, I'm sure a lot of these bands, they probably have, I haven't listened to their catalog. I'm sure they've got some cool rockin' badass tunes, but then they comes out with that song where he's got his eyebrow pierced. Like, I don't know why I'm hating on him for that for no reason, but he's all like, it's been a while since I cried like a bitch. And you're just like, God, shut up. And everybody loved that fucking song. And I just like, this is so terrible. And now he plays like country, like big surprise. Like every rocker goes and plays country now. But like,
it spoke.
Yeah, I was always just like, I couldn't stand those like, ha 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 kind of songs.
It spoke to people's soul, dude.
You know what? It spoke to people who aren't Batman fans. A bunch of fucking... What's a stupid superhero?
Like the Green Hornet or whatever that is.
Yeah, what a dumb
Green Lantern.
Green Lantern. Anyone who likes the Green Lantern is an idiot. I'm just gonna go like all out. It's just like I start offending everybody.
So much hate mail.
So much hate mail. No, yeah, I would love to get hate mail. I think I'd be kind of excited about it. Like oh, if I finally pissed somebody off. Yes.
Yeah.
No, for the record, I'm not a troll. Like I actually have a life. Just live to make people I hate Green Lantern. Commenting on people's stuff all day long about how much they suck at everything. You know, once you're like, I feel like when you're an artist and you create and you actually create stuff and put it out in the world, and like, you know how much time and effort and work and all that, and you know what I mean? All that takes, you're way less likely to go shit on other people. I do it here for fun on the podcast and, you know, just shit on famous people, whatever, fuck them. But like, I know, like, I don't just go trolling around like on YouTube, like, you suck, you know, because I've had that happen. And you're just like, wow, okay, fuck you, dude in your mom's basement who's never done anything and has nothing better to do right now. Yeah. But it was actually hilarious. That same band, Invincible Czars, like, since the pandemic happened, then the touring wasn't going on, and then we had done the Dr. Caligari soundtrack, and then which is streaming and play. I don't know how it's all working right now, but we did that whole thing in the first half of 2020, and then we started doing, after Eddie Van Halen died, we decided to do like a Van Halen tribute. So we were doing all these reworked Van Halen, like a handful of Van Halen songs, but in very different style, right? So are you a Typo Negative fan? I'm a huge Typo Negative fan. I don't know if you dig that band or not.
I haven't really listened to them, to be honest.
Oh my God. You need to go listen to Typo Negative. Please do yourself a favor. They're amazing. I love that band so much. So to me,
ZZ Top before that, right? Before the EVH.
Right, yeah, you're right. So we did a ZZ Top cover, then we did a Christmas cover. Yeah, we did LaGrange, but everything is in like odd meters, or it's like an Eastern style or a swing or a, you know, it's always different stylistically. And so, and Bossa Nova or whatever. So we had done that, and then we did some of the Van Halen stuff. And the first one we did was this video where I sang it, and I was kind of, I don't know why, there was a down-tuned 7-string guitar, kind of a real low riff with Ain't Talking About Love and like a slower tempo. So I was like, oh, I'll kind of go the Typo Negative, you know, kind of low route. And then anyway, I did this whole different thing vocally. We totally redid the song in a whole different way, shot a video that was ridiculous. And Van Halen fans, wow, man, they were not happy, and it was fucking awesome. We were just like loving it. Like all the hate comments were just like, Eddie Van Halen's rolling over this. How dare you? No, it was pretty great.
Yeah. There's some dedicated fans in the Van Halen realm.
We learned. Yes, we learned.
For sure.
We learned that if you're gonna repurpose Van Halen songs, do not market them to Van Halen fans. That was
yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, Type O Negative, man, what I love about that band is that to me, they have the perfect balance of they got kind of called goth or whatever, right? Every band gets pigeonholed, but they've got this old punk rock mentality, this total just fuck you, sort of mentality. So very punk rock in that sense. All the classic rock musicality and influences, and then this kind of gothic twist mixed with this kind of dark humor and satire. And I just loved their style because I thought they blended all those ingredients. And every time I ever saw them live, they would always kind of do their own version of some old cover song, right? They would play CCR, or The Doors, or the Beatles, or what. So I always, Pink Floyd, whatever, Sabbath. And you could hear those elements in their music, but it was done so differently, right? And they made it so unique and so their own. I highly, highly recommend that band.
I will look more into it for sure. I'm sure I've heard them. It's just not.
In your head, you're like, I hate that band. You just don't have the heart to tell me.
No, it's
they're one of your Titanic bands.
I'll probably when I go to play them, I'll probably hear a song and be like, oh yeah, it's like.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just right now it's just not sticking out. It's funny, sometimes when I get too into one category of music, I also just have a really bad memory, and names and things like that are hard to stick in my head. But sometimes the other stuff just starts falling off of my memory too. And I think recently I've mostly been listening to the blues and just a lot of classic oldies and jazz stuff, and diving deeper and deeper into things like Ethiopian jazz. And, I don't know why.
Oh wow!
I've just wanted to I think because I moved and I have this whole antique-y thing going on, and I just wanna, maybe it has something to do with COVID, escape into feeling like I'm in the old world and not part of the new age society.
Well, don't escape too far back. You don't want to go back to 1918. You're going to be right where you already are.
Yeah, Spanish influenza.
But just past it, in the Roaring 20s. That's where you're at right now, right?
Yeah.
I love that old blues. Howlin' Wolf is one of my all-time favorites.
Oh, yeah.
Huge Howlin' Wolf fan.
I'm a big blues fan. That's where Crow Jane comes from. That's why I picked it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Man, I got to send you, holy fucking shit, now that you said that, because it crossed my mind the other day. My brother, there's a video of my brother playing that song. Crow Jane. Crow Jane.
Crow Jane. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that a Robert Johnson? Where did that come from?
Skip James.
Okay. Wow. Look at you. Look at that. Yeah. Crow Jane. Look at that. Yeah, Pink Floyd came from a couple old blues pickers.
So I feel like majority of the classic rock had this blues influence.
No, but I mean, yeah, totally. But I mean, their actual name was
two
blues guys. But it's good. Oh yeah, that stuff was totally. They just stole the blues.
Yeah,
I mean,
a bunch of white dudes stealing the blues.
Yeah, a bunch of white dudes in England just got heard it and were just well, it's all it's rainy. There ain't nothing to do. I quite like what they're doing. What am I doing? This is where people Guy hear this and be you for fuck's sake.
Nice. Yeah, there was a really good Robert Johnson documentary that came out. Did you guys see that?
I saw it.
Yes.
It's really short, right? It's not long. Yeah, I saw that.
Oh man, it's so good.
I've been watching some episodes here and there of the Ken Burns. God, that guy has a documentary on everything, right? And on jazz. It's so cool. It's so good. And just going through all these different great jazz players.
Nice.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. I don't know. Yeah. So none of those bands go on the Titanic, obviously, right? I feel like anything that happened before 19... okay, here's a question. What was the first horrible band that just ruined everything?
I feel I don't know. I mean, just because of I'm sure people that grew up mostly in the 80s have a different perspective, and I could probably think of bands from the 80s that ruined things. But For me, like as a 90s baby, like there was so much crap in the 90s.
Yeah, yes, the mid 90s fucking ruined the early 90s were like the greatest thing since the late 60s.
Yeah.
And then the mid 90s and late 90s just fucking ruined the music.
Yeah.
Man.
It was all the dudes wearing the bedazzled jeans.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and like even like I love fucking David Bowie, but even 90s Bowie. I mean, there's some people that like 90s Bowie, but I'm like, Bowie. You
kind of got to give some guys a pass. Like if you listen to like some bands, like they stay true and they're like AC/DC never faltered. Like they're all still AC/DC, right? Like you get some cheeseball Aussie stuff in the 80s, but it's still cool. But I'm trying. Oh, who was I just? There was someone in the 80s. Oh, like Rolling Stones 80s. Oh, like there's like some bands. Like it's really funny with bands that have been around for like 50 years, and you see them kind of do the disco thing, and then they kind of get into the synth poppy thing. In the 80s.
Like trying to be relevant.
Oh, there's some horrific fucking 80s Stones videos. Mick Jagger all dance around in sailor suits. I can't remember what the song is, but it's so bad.
I went on like a music video watching rampage when I was like making my music videos, and my sister at one point in time was like questioning if Pink Floyd ever made music videos. And I was like, yeah, of course. But then in the back of my mind, I was like, did they? And then I was like, oh my God, the fucking like kids going through the fucking meat processor music video. Like, I mean,
they took it to a whole nother level, man.
I just want to draw attention to fucking the dark surrealism of Pink Floyd in that time and just appreciate it. For real.
Yeah, no kidding. Absolutely. I even feel like they had a video for like Money or some shit back in like it might kind of just been live footage or something. I feel like I've seen some kind of old video. I didn't get into Pink Floyd. I didn't know, until the mid 90s when they put out the Division Bell, and then they did do some, music videos, because that was right before MTV went to hell and ruined the world. It's like
I wish MTV still like had music videos, or like MTV2 or like whatever. I wish
I know, right? It was so cool. Music television. Now it's like I'm 16 and I'm pregnant television. What the fuck?
Yeah. Like I think music videos are so awesome and they deserve more attention than they get now.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Maybe they're kind of making a comeback in this cool way. Like a lot of like hip hop and pop stars are making like music video movies, where they like will have a series of music videos, and it's like its own kind of like cinematic movie. Maybe they're.
Do you have an example of that?
Yeah, Will Smith's son, Jaden Smith, did it, and I think Beyonce did it, I think, and who else did it? I think Billie Eilish has made really cool music videos. I mean, so has like Gaga and like.
Lady Gaga's great. Yeah.
So
she's awesome,
and they're just like on YouTube,
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the thing; they're still massive. I mean, obviously, because there's things with like billions of plays on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to know sometimes in the industries. I'm sure it hasn't changed that much in terms of like once upon a time, so and so record label had put out all this money to get it on all the radio stations, and nowadays it's they're buying up all the YouTube slots, or who knows, right? So I mean, so many things always do come down to advertising at a high level, but nonetheless, like there's a lot of people still watching these things that are still, and I guess YouTube is still the biggest. I mean, there's what is that called, Vimeo or something, right?
Yeah, Vimeo.
I don't know, Vimeo. Yeah, like I feel like I still haven't used it.
A lot of filmmakers use that. That's why I know that.
Well, yeah, we working in film, right? I mean, how's that industry changed? I mean, have you been doing that for a while? Because, I mean, like we were saying, theaters, it just seems like whatever this huge superhero blockbuster is going to come out. But so many things nowadays don't even go to theaters. And so many things now are just straight to Netflix or HBO or Plus or whatever it's called and all that stuff, right? Yeah,
well, I mean, Netflix is so huge. And now, like, during COVID, it's like every like, there's Paramount Plus, there's Disney Plus, there's
Disney,
there's like so many different platforms, but TV is where it's at. I mean, there's still great films that come out, but yeah, like because one of the reasons being that superheroes took over the movie theaters and like Godzilla versus Kong and shit like that, like stuff. You know, it's TV is like where it's at. That's where constant good content or good stories are being made. You know.
Speaking of that, what are some of your favorite shows?
Currently
or whenever.
Okay. I really like Handmaid's Tale. I mean, it's super dark, but I love it. I love certain seasons of American Horror Story. And I liked the new Black Mirrors. Or just Black Mirror in general. I love the Twilight Zone. I mean, that's old school. And there was a lot of really good dark, like, you know, in like detective shows that have come out that were really good. I like
I was going to say the first season of True Detective was pretty cool. Did you see that?
Yeah, True Detective is great.
I really liked that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's super good. Trying to rack my brain. I like Euphoria a lot too. I liked Stranger Things. I fell off of it a bit. I liked Game of Thrones, which I laughed because like the ending of it.
So I don't know. I'm like one of the like weirdos that never watched Game of Thrones. And I turned into my dad who used to be this guy that was like, "I'll never watch Cheers." And I'm like, "Why? Just to be that guy that never watched Cheers? Like weirdo, like whatever." And then I was like, "No, I don't want to watch Game of Thrones."
Well, it's also very intimidating if you don't watch it because there's so many episodes and they're all like an hour to 2 hours long. You're
it's
like,
a lot.
like,
Yeah. And I mean, I just like, you can't just like come in and it's like, I literally started watching an episode and it was like a naked lady with a dragon flying, and I'm like, holy shit, what is happening? Like, it's just like it's like, yeah, you literally, that's the thing. It's like, that is a huge investment that I'm not willing to make right now.
Yeah.
And maybe one day, like, you know, I'll watch all of Game of Thrones, but I did hear that the ending was like, a lot of people were really upset about the last season. And the funny thing about Game of Thrones, I don't know what the girl's name was, but apparently a bunch of people, like there was this chick who was like kind of the good person, and like a bunch of people like named their daughters her, and then she turned out to be like this evil bitch, and it was like hilarious.
Yeah, she killed a bunch of innocent people.
What was her name?
With her dragon. It's the blonde one that you're talking about. I'm brain farting on her name because, like I said, I'm bad at names.
That's pretty badass. Now people are like,
yeah.
Now people are like, they have that daughter, and they're like, oh, fuck. I guess we got to call her by her middle name. You know?
Yeah, well, like the last episode, it's like people are so invested in this storyline and these shows and the books, and like they get to this like epic point and they're like, it's the last episode, and like everyone and their mom is like, you know, coming together to watch this last episode, and like it's almost like the producers were like
I love that.
It's almost like they purposefully were like, for 20 minutes we're just gonna have somebody pushing a chair around, and everyone watching it's like, what?
It's almost like you kind of maybe should have suspected that could happen with Game of Thrones, because it wasn't one of those shows where like every week it's like, oh my god, a main character just died. Like it was always like crazy unexpected stuff, right?
There's a certain point, I think, with a lot of shows, especially if they're on for so long, it's like it starts getting repetitive. Like I liked the Walking Dead comic books, so I was really stoked to watch the Walking Dead show, and it was great, and I think the makeup effects are amazing. But like, you know, I fell off of it because at a certain point, like, it's always the same thing.
Like, how many zombies can you? You know, okay. You know, a show I started watching was, and I like those shows that get in and out, like, and that's what I think why Breaking Bad did so well, because they did 5 seasons and they just got the fuck out.
Oh yeah, it's another good one. Yeah,
you know, and it's a great show.
Never saw it.
It had a few little lulls, but all in all, it was solid. What's that?
So I never saw it.
I wish
you never saw Breaking Bad.
I wish I envy you, because I wish I never have saw it so I could experience it all over again.
It's on the list.
I've watched that. Yeah. That's like one of the only shows I've ever like watched more than once. Like the entire series, probably like so. It's same thing though, Vic. Like I used to be like, oh, everyone by Breaking Bad, and then and then the first episode though, it's like that first episode I put it on and I was like, oh fuck, this is badass. It sells you like that. You're hooked.
I'm not being like goth kid contrarian. I've just never had a chance to sit down and watch it because I get caught up in other stuff like Sons of Anarchy, right? And then The Expanse is one of those that I've watched more than once.
Conformist.
I just started watching Ozark.
Oh yeah,
that
Ozark's
show's bad. Ozark is
it's
so
really
good, man.
Yeah.
It's so good. I love that show.
The very first episode where that dude hits the pavement.
It's fucking
Yeah.
badass, dude.
I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
Breaking Bad's the same way. Like they kind of took up, I think, kind of out of the Breaking Bad playbook for that. Like it just it starts and it's just like wow. It's
Ozark
on,
is like the very dark and serious version of Schitt's Creek or shit. Yeah, right.
I
is
love
it Schitt's Creek?
Schitt's Creek. Yeah,
That's interesting. That is like the great. Nobody would ever think of that analogy, but you're so right. You know, Schitt's Creek's another one like I watched recently, and you're right. It is. It's the family that shit hits the fan, right? But like Ozark is just like the worst case fucked up scenario of that ever, and Schitt's Creek's is like the family happy everything works out okay scenario. Like
that's so funny.
yeah, Schitt's Creek is great though.
Yeah,
that's a
hilarious.
great show too.
Yeah, it came out at a good time too, and you're just like, the world sucks, and you just put on Schitt's Creek, and you're like, oh, it's funny.
Yeah. It is actually kind of well. We talk about this all the time, and for some reason, I think you probably like these, but like because you're goth, it's like all the serial killer shit, right? You're gonna watch like 14 fucking serial killer documentaries. And it's like, okay, Schitt's Creek sounds pretty good right now. I just need a break from like, you know, murder. Like every other channel on television is like Dateline and, you know, fucking Traces of Evil. It's just like unsolved mysteries. Like Jesus Christ, you know?
Yeah,
like,
I have to chase those down with some good comedy some of the times. Yeah, I watched the Richard Ramirez show, which I thought was great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that the Night Stalker
The
guy?
Night Stalker, yeah.
That shit was fucking crazy, man.
Yeah.
That actually I woke up in the middle of the night, like I'd fallen asleep with some show on Netflix, and I woke up with that trailer, and I was just like, ah! Like it fucking like was scary.
Yeah.
And then I was like, and then for like a week, I was like, don't you do it, because I hate serial killers. And I mean, who doesn't hate serial killers? But I'm like, there's too many documentaries about serial killers, and it's glorifying serial killers, and this is one thing I rant about. But I was like, don't do it, and then I watched it like all in one fucking night, and then Vic and I have been talking about it every goddamn since.
Yeah.
And then we watched the Cecil Hotel one.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Yeah, I watched the Richard Ramirez one like pretty quickly, and I would chase it down with comedy. But one of the nights that I watched it, I fell asleep, and the next morning I had to get up for work. Which you might appreciate this. I just worked on Mayans season 3, which is a spinoff of Sons of Anarchy.
Wow,
very cool. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm in a band that has some songs in that.
Really?
In season 2, yeah.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, it's called Bully Los Buffaloes. Got a couple of tunes in there.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, awesome.
I'll
So, yeah.
So I woke up to go to work for that, and like commonly I had to wake up at like 2-3 in the morning to get there like by 4 or 5, like
Holy
Lancaster, Santa Clarita. So I woke up to go to work, and there was gunshots right outside my window, and I just watched Richard Ramirez,
Lord.
and I was just like, like, and I'm not, you know, I kind of like to think myself as a tough broad, but I was pretty fucking chicken shit. I like called my father, like, I have to leave my house to go to work. It was like 2 a.m, woke his ass up. If I don't show up to work, it's because there's someone outside with a gun, and I don't know what's gonna happen. Just so you know. And he was like, okay, I'm sure you're fine. Like, no one shoots a gun and like lingers, you know, like they usually run out.
And that's good true. I mean, that's fucking scary as shit if it's like 2 a.m. I mean, it's one thing if it's like, you don't really want to walk outside with gunshots any time of day.
Yeah.
But it also seems way, I feel like someone's more likely to linger at 2 a.m. Than they are at like noon, you know?
There was a helicopter with its lights out, like circling my street and stuff.
The ghetto birds. Yeah.
And so I like walked out with my makeup kit that I had to roll to my car, and I was like, my car was all the way on the other side of the park, and I was like, okay, run. Just like running with my makeup kit, like probably looking like suspicious as fuck, especially because like my makeup kit is a Pelican case, which is like known to hold guns.
Yeah, you're lucky the cops didn't shoot you. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh dear.
There's someone running. Must be the suspect. Shoot.
That's right.
We'll ask questions later.
Ma'am, do you have any guns? Only my makeup guns. All right.
Yeah.
I just started watching season 3 too. I'm on episode. Before I started moving, I got through episode 2, I think. So I'm 2 behind. So 3 and 4.
This season gets pretty brutal.
So let me ask you all this:
such a great show.
Didn't watch Sons of Anarchy, you can dive right in, or is there like kind of borrow a lot from that? Does it help if you've seen that? Because I never watched that show.
Yeah, so there is a little bit of callbacks to Sons of Anarchy, but there's like little bitty things. But I think if you have never watched it, you're okay.
Yeah, it kind of has its own like storyline.
Yeah.
Damn this podcast. I don't have any time this week. I'm not starting anything new.
It's on Hulu, so.
Oh, good. I don't have that.
It's only $5 Hulu a month.
I have a show tomorrow. I wouldn't get any sleep. Start watching it tonight. Yeah, that's the thing with those documentaries, though, right? It's like, or those docuseries that are like 3-4 episodes. It's so hard to like watch one and then you just end up binge watching the whole thing.
I think Mayans so far, it's only been 10 episodes per season, if I think.
Oh, yeah. That's a show I was going to say was Blacklist. So I started watching Blacklist with James Spader, and I was all like, this is cool. But then I was like, well, I forget what we were talking about when it was just like, like the zombie thing. It's like, okay, at like 10, 15 episodes, it's like the first season was like 400 episodes. And it's like, they feel like they resolved everything in like 7. And I'm like, and it's like, so every new episode, it's like, some high level criminal getting sought. And I was just like, it's just so, I don't need something to be totally believable, but it was just so ridiculous. I was like, okay, I'm not going to invest anything more into this, I'll tell you a horrible show that's also really actually kind of good is Taken. Because they made a TV series out of Taken.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
It's terrible. So it starts out okay.
Prequel to the movies?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And it starts out kind of cool because he's younger and he gets involved. He gets in. I think he's got a beef to pick because someone kills his sister. I can't remember, but he becomes in this thing and he gets in this group and they go on these op missions and blah blah. And it's not bad. And there's kind of a storyline, and you keep waiting. It's like you kind of are like, oh man, you want it to like get to where it kind of ties in, right? Like he meets his future wife or whatever. And the first season kind of has a storyline. And he's like, kind of like, I'm just going to ruin it for you because it's not worth watching. But like he starts like dating his neighbor, but then her place is bugged by some bad guys. And you're like, oh shit, and it's all kind of leading up to something. And then at the very last episode, it's just insane. Like she gets kidnapped and he goes to Mexico and kills all of Mexico to get her back by himself. And the team doesn't back. And then all of a sudden you're like, okay, that was a pretty bad last episode. Then the next season starts. Everybody's gone. It's a whole new team. She's gone. None of the old characters are in except for like that one chick. And it just keeps getting more and more ridiculous. Like, and now Brian Mills goes to North Korea and kills all of North Korea. Like it was just so bad. So bad I had to finish it.
I felt that way about Lost. Like Lost was really good at one point, and then it got like really
Lost.
Lost
really lost itself.
Yeah, like it went on for so long. It's almost like the writers were like, what other fucking crazy bullshit can we just throw into the mix? But it's
I feel like unless it's a topical thing like South Park or The Simpsons, or for some reason animated shows can last. I guess because characters don't age, right?
Yeah.
They can just go on and on and on. But any other show, I feel like it's like you've got 7, 8 seasons maybe, and then you got to get out of there, man. You start going longer than that, it just gets bad. Like it's almost inevitable. Like I feel like almost every TV show, they really starts out here, they find their stride, and they just have like 4 or 5 great, amazing seasons, and then they kind of just like Seinfeld's one of the best shows ever. I love Seinfeld, but I always thought like the later Seinfelds, as in a general rule, were just kind of like, they had their moment where they like seasons 2 through 5 or 6 were like amazing, and then the last couple of seasons were like, they had some good ones, but a lot of also kind of like reaching a bit.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's me as an expert, sitcom writer and producer.
Yeah, we're all the experts here.
We're the experts.
And our opinions matter.
So far, we've only got Creed on the Titanic.
Creed and Saliva.
Yeah, Creed and Saliva.
Oh, Saliva.
Yeah.
Okay, what do we have? 5, so that's 2. Okay, who else is going on the Titanic?
Think of someone and then give us hints.
Okay.
Look at me getting all excited about this game.
Also 90s, mixes rap with alternative.
Limp Bizkit.
Yeah.
The worst band of all time. I try to make it this is like a staple of our podcast that I shit on Limp Bizkit every episode.
Yeah.
Was that the one?
Yes, correct.
Oh,
ding, ding.
bam.
Okay.
Man, major points for Crow Jane, right? She's getting good points here, Vic.
Yes.
So that could go down on the Titanic. I'm trying to think of something that's not like awful 90s because that's kind of like easy to go to, I guess.
Yeah, you're right. Like that's just I feel like when something, and since it's like when you said the Saliva and I came to the state, all that, right? Just pick a name, right? And Limp Bizkit is kind of that same thing. It's like that thing that happened that's just like blah.
Yeah.
They're the poster child for that shit, right? Okay,
Yeah.
so we got that covered.
Yeah.
But is there bad old blues? Is there bad 50s jazz? Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I don't like new blues. A lot of like new blues. Like people like
It can very easily get redundant. I mean, clearly. That's the thing I always say that about the blues. I mean, as a musician, a music teacher and stuff, it's like absolutely essential. So much spawned from it, both culturally and, musically and culturally. You have to understand it and study. It's extremely relative and valuable and important. And I think every musician should listen and understand the blues at some level. Doesn't mean you have to listen to the blues endless. Like on the flip side of that coin, it's like Austin, Texas is a great example of a place where you got these guys that are just like blues, blues, blues. And that's all they do is play blues and jack themselves off playing blues solos all night long. It's like, okay, we get it. You like the blues. I'm bored as fuck though.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't like new like white dude blues.
You know what? I think that'd be a great band name. New White Dude Blues. I would fucking go listen to that shit just to see what it was.
What else is I don't like a lot of like very like Japanese like pop stuff.
Nobody does. Nobody likes that.
No,
except for Marty Freeman. That's it.
Industry for it, but I just
you know who else likes that? Italo. I have a friend who likes all that weird shit. He's always like sending me links of like yum 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 yum. Like, it's almost now I'm gonna be racist. I'm just gonna get us canceled. Like I can't do anything without being terrible. All right, this is the second episode I gotta fucking edit. So like, but like, yeah, right, dude. Remember Damon? He was like talking about shit, and he'll be like, "Oh, check this out," and he has like great. He's like. Natasha Atlas came through him. Like I've discovered, Natasha Atlas is another girl you should check out. She's from Lebanon, and it's kind of like I don't know, I don't know, and it's really cool. But yeah, but he'll send you like some really cool stuff.
Yeah.
And then he'll send you something that's just like remember on Team America the way they spoofed the North Korean entertainment, like when they were all I don't know if you saw that movie, but and it's just these like Korean ladies just like. It's just the weirdest, terrible shit. And I'm like, what am I listening to?
Damon did play one song on the podcast. It was like, okay.
Oh, dude. He loved that band, like Baby Metal and all that.
Oh, yeah. I don't like them.
I was like, yeah, I'm not really into it.
But, I say that, and I actually like the bands like I like OOIOO and like Melt Banana.
Yeah, Melt Banana. I mean, it's just like crazy shit, right? That's like noise rock, right? Is that what you would call that?
Yeah. Like I like that side of things. But even like a lot of noise rock, it's like I'm not like sitting at home chilling listening to noise rock. You know what I mean? Like
gotta wind down. Gotta wind down to some Locust.
There's like specific moments that I listen to that, and I just like more so really appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of things like that. Like that's how I feel about like death metal and stuff. Sometimes I love things in small doses.
Yeah,
and that's why I really like kind of the like Mr. Bungle type bands. Is where you'll get these moments of something really brutal or really this or that, but then there'll be something else that's totally a different genre altogether. And I kind of like, it's kind of that Pink, more of extreme, or Zappa, more of an extreme version of a Pink Floyd thing. You're just sort of all over the place. It's not just like, you know, I'm assuming Saliva or something where it's like every song is like, ma, 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 right?
Yeah.
I'm still sad with my acoustic guitar.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I also I'm not too fond of, in terms of current stuff, like there was this label called Burger Records. They've been canceled recently in LA.
Like canceled and like
called out and canceled.
Uh-oh, what did they do?
They're just like notorious. Like, it wasn't shocking. Like, I don't know anyone that was like shocked by this, but like some women came out and they're just notorious like drug addicts that would do shitty things to women.
Oh, well, fuck them then. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, but a lot of they were huge in LA for a while. And they started like a Burger Palooza, whatever, in the Bay Area.
Okay.
And they had some great bands. Like, I think Devo played it. And that's another great band that I love a lot. But they also just had so many bands that were just like this, like very like poppy thing. Like they all looked the same. Like, and I felt like our underground scene sort of stemmed in this like fuck Burger Records type of way. Like the darker like artsy weird kids that like didn't want to like wear bell bottoms and like fit into the mold of this like Burger Records thing that was going on.
So was it like what would they start doing like the stoner rock stuff or something? When you say bell bottoms, was it all this like kind of throwback 70s stuff?
Yeah.
There's a big market for that kind of stuff. And I'm like, that music's cool, but it was cool when Black Sabbath did it in 1970. I mean, I get that everything's been done and I get the brand, but what always bothers me is like that's the thing is like I almost feel like when you have something that's kind of like, well, you can't pinpoint it. People are like, well, that's no good. What are you? You've got to be a stoner rock band, or you've got to be a Texas country band, or you've got to be noise rock. Well, why can't I just make fucking music and do whatever I want, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, some bands do that, but right? I mean,
yeah,
that's what I feel like. Sure. I get annoyed when I see a label or whatever. And I do understand, but it's like, okay, great. So there's like 75 fucking bands that are the same, but why would I want to go to that festival? You know, I don't want to watch the same thing all day long, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Man, I miss concerts so much. I wonder when those are going to come back. Do
you remember what the last show was you saw?
I think it was the Locust, actually. The Locust like reunion show that they did in LA.
Yeah, I saw them play in Austin. That was in October, I think. Or October, early November. Was it that far back, right? Or it might have been a little later. They probably, I think they came to Denver. They played a few Texas shows and then went back and probably played LA.
Yeah. I mean, I think like
year.
One of my shows, like I think Prissy Whip played a show, and that was probably the last one that I attended. It was like at a Chinese restaurant in LA, like a notorious old school Chinese restaurant. It's actually a really good show. But like as far as like other bands, like a show that I like bought a ticket to, I think it was the Locust, which feels like years ago now, which it was a year ago. But
no, it was. That was all the way back in that was probably in 2019. Because last year's was just gone. It was just like, you know.
Yeah, that's so
nothing
crazy.
happened.
Yeah.
What are some cool places? What are some cool places in Southern California? Some of your favorite venues, and then also, what are some places that you've toured that you love? Cities or venues or any particular places?
There's a lot of DIY venues which is funny because like. I mean, as long as I don't even know if they exist anymore, but, you know, it's like the thing is like to not give out their location because like you don't want cops to shut them down. But there's a lot of like underground DIY venues in LA that I really love. And it's cool because it's just like, it's easy to get it. I mean, I shouldn't say easy because like they get booked up a lot of the times, but they get booked up so much because like underground bands can play there without like this the venue rules,
Well, yeah, because LA is notorious for you got to pay to play, right? And all that shit.
Well, in Hollywood and like fuck Hollywood, like
right.
Everyone I know like doesn't go to Hollywood anymore.
Yeah. No, if you actually live there, you're like, fuck this. It's like cool when you don't live there, and then you live there, and you're like, this sucks.
Yeah, like and Sunset, the part of Sunset that's in Echo Park, like is kind of becoming more Hollywoody. But there's like the venue right there is the Echo and the Echoplex, which is kind of like home to a lot of my bands, like. But Live Nation bought them out, and that whole strip is becoming kind of like Hollywood Boulevard. Where my cat was just running around. She's like freaking out. Oh my god! Bella,
wow!
What are you doing? She just wants me to fucking play with her. She's like, get off the fucking couch.
I don't know for this fucking podcast. Pick your fifth band and get the hell out.
Yeah. But yeah, the Echo and the Echoplex. There's a lot of venues downtown, actually, that are cool. Like Telegram Ballroom is a big venue. And what else? Some venues across the country that I played that I really loved. Fuck, I wish I was less brain farty on names. Especially tour when it all is like turns into one like blob in your head.
And then you're like, oh, remember that great show that we played that we can't remember where it was, so we'll never play there again? Damn. It was so good.
Well, I have to like look at the list, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there was a really great venue that we played in Chicago that was an underground place. And there was a really great venue that we played in Detroit. But I actually didn't sing for that one because I fucked up my vocal cords. We did 21 shows straight through, no breaks, and it's kind of like a screamy, I kind of scream and I also sing in it, but I don't have a lot of vocal training or anything, so I asked some friends that sing in that same way, like Justin was one of them. I was like, give me some tips, man. How do I save my voice? And he gave me some tips, which one of them is like, don't talk for either before or after the show. And of course so everyone, I had to hide. Otherwise you're the asshole. You know what I mean? Because everyone's like,
no, you're right. Exactly.
Like, I love your show. How you doing? How's tour? And you're just like,
then you just look like an ass, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just like, it's great. Just gotta go. And they're like, fuck that person.
And then later they're like, oh, how was that Crow Jane? She's a bitch.
Yeah. And they just don't know that I'm trying to not talk. Okay, so Chicago is the Archer Ballroom. It was great. Detroit was Trumbleplex. There was another really good one in Ohio. Oh, Legion of Doom. Have you heard of this place?
No, but that sounds badass.
They had iconic bands play there. It's a house. It's a punk house in Ohio.
Oh, wow.
And you play in the basement.
Oh, cool.
That was really rad. The bakery in Atlanta was another DIY spot that was really cool. Poor Boys Bar in New Orleans, which was really funny. But it was still a really cool show. I really like playing San Antonio, actually. We played the Amp Room there.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
The Lunchbox in Phoenix. I think COVID took them out, but that was another really cool spot in Arizona. And yeah, I think those were some of my favorite ones on that tour. I mean, I've done so many tours, but nothing's sticking out to me on the other ones.
These are... Go ahead.
There's a lot of West Coast places too that we played. There's a lot of good venues in Oregon and the Bay Area too.
Yeah.
I really like house shows in the Bay Area, actually.
I've only played there one time, and it was a little kind of divey type place, but it was super cool. And right? You know that place?
That's why you gotta look at the list. It's it's hard to remember. Yeah.
Actually, I think, no, they changed hands. So who knows if they went out too. I was really sad to hear. I mean, glad I got to see the Melvins and everything there, but Slim's going under. That sucks because that was kind of a iconic place. We've had a few of them here in Austin dump under, but fortunately, a lot of them are still here. And
yeah.
So, what are your you got plans in terms of coming through this? Bands that are looking to get back on the road or new recordings, or what are?
Well, I'm going to do another solo album. Tour, I have no idea. One of my Egrets on Ergot band, that I've been in the longest was supposed to tour Europe for the first time before COVID happened.
Oh, shit.
Something that all of us have desired to do for so long. We got offered a big goth festival in Poland, and we took out a loan and we're starting to book the whole thing, and then COVID happened.
Wow.
So hopefully, like, that festival happens again, and and we get to do that. That would be really cool. I want to see Prague. Like, there's so many places that I want to see out there. I want to play Mexico City eventually. Have heard a lot of really good things about Mexico City. I would even love to play like Australia. I don't know if they have much of a music scene anymore, but some of my favorite bands have come from Australia.
Yeah, I've met some really cool people too with that just love very similar tastes that are big music lovers out there that have had some great acts.
Yeah.
Like, what are some Australian bands you're referencing?
The Birthday Party.
Okay.
It's an old Nick Cave band.
Yeah, I know that name, and I never knew that was an Australian thing.
What are something? There's this really funny band. I wish I could remember the name of. They're Australian. They're actually newer. They're fucking hilarious. They do like they did a song called like my GoPro or something like damn. And I'll send it to you. I'll look it up and I'll send it to you. But they're really great. Just like
it's not that. Is there some band called like 12-Foot Ninja or some shit? Is that an Australian band?
I don't know the band.
Like 12-Foot Odd Grunts or something. It's a Russell Crowe band, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
They get in a fight with their fans.
I think so, yeah.
I thought of another band that's going on the Titanic when you said that.
Oh, yes. Please.
What's that actor's fucking name? His band.
Bruce Willis?
No. No.
Keanu Reeves?
No.
Trying to think of all the actors that have bands. There's a lot of them.
It's like a Mars something or...
Jared Leto.
Yeah, Jared Leto's...
Is that 30 Seconds to Mars?
Yeah.
Is that the one?
Yeah,
I see. I don't know what they sound like. And forever, I didn't even know that he had a band, and that because that's a big name. Like, people have heard that name, but I hear that name and I think it sounds like really boring music. I don't know. It could be that could easily be like a cool math rock killer band, prog band, but for some reason it's implanted that's like Maroon 5 or something.
Yeah, I know. I actually I heard that they put on a really great show, but
that's one thing you do have to give a lot of bands credit for. I think sometimes a band, you listen to their music and you're like, nothing's really special here. I can always appreciate good production and blah, 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 and heck, good melodies and this and that. But like, sometimes you see a band live and you're like, oh, wow, shit, they're really good. And that makes a lot of, I get it. That's what where longevity comes from. On the flip side, I've seen some bands that I think are pretty good live that, everyone can have an off show, I suppose, but I remember seeing, so I think the Black Keys have a lot of good songs. I don't really have anything against the Black Keys, but they were boring as shit when I saw them live.
Interesting.
And I was just like, ugh, this is boring. And not like, you don't have to like jump around and be a maniac the whole show necessarily, but I don't know. Sometimes I just felt really bland to me. What are some of the best live shows you've seen, and some of the worst live shows you've seen? Like yin and yang here.
I saw. That Locust show is really great. And
they're just like fucking brutal, high energy. Like
their shows are insane. And even like the time I saw them before that was like a really long time ago at a festival outside, and there was just like this huge dirt cloud that popped up. I also saw this band called Miko Miko at the same festival, and they put on great shows. They were like a punky band in LA, kind of like when the burger thing was going. They played at this venue called The Smell out in LA a lot. And it's just like another cool like DIY venue. But they do it like legally. They put on great shows, and I go to those a lot. Some other good shows that I've been to, I saw the Flesh Eaters, and I thought it was great, just like out of like admiration for them. It wasn't like people were going super crazy or anything. I'm a big fan of this band called The Residents, and they put on really bizarre shows. They're from the Bay.
Yeah, it sounds super familiar. Actually,
they wear like eyeball heads and top hats and suits.
Oh,
in the 80s, I think. And they had I have a VHS of them actually. It's a Penn and Teller VHS because they were friends with the Residents. And and it goes into like how the Residents got their name and stuff like that. And
oh my gosh!
They
back in all the way in the 70s, they've got a total the Residents Meet the Residents. It's like a Beatles spoof album cover. It's awesome.
Yeah, they're really
That's
funny.
really cool.
Yeah, they put on a good show just because they're super bizarre.
Wow.
And what else? In terms of some local bands that put on really fun shows, there's some local punk bands that I feel like put on really great shows in LA. I think Terminal A is one of them, and oh my god, I'm brain farting. I want to say the Feelies, but that's not them. It's another band. I haven't been to a local show in so long.
No, that's true. It's like we're all like
forgetting people.
I don't even remember the last show I went to. I want to say it was that Metal Church show.
Oh man, maybe. Yeah.
It might have been. Yeah.
That was probably summer of 2019.
I think so.
It feels about somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was fun. That was a good show. Death Angel, that was a cool show too. I guess you weren't at that one. I thought they were going to be super death metal-y, but they're a Bay Area band, thrash from the old school thrash way back in the Metallica days.
Oh.
And actually I think they won a Grammy, not that the Grammy whatever, but a couple of years. It's still great when you win a Grammy. It's great, right, on your resume, even though we all know how disgusting some of the
was Jethro Tull not nominated for a Grammy?
Yeah, Jethro Tull wasn't nominated, so
they won.
Death Angel won, yeah. Dude, this last year I was just like, what in the fuck is going on? Like the bands that were nominated for best metal and stuff, it wasn't even metal. It was techno-y. It was just bizarre. I was like, Jesus fucking Christ. Their genres are so.
Was it like Green Day or something?
No, not I don't say worse. It was just so not in the vein of whatever that genre would be considered. It was strange. Are you a Green Day fan?
I mean, no, but at one point, I think in junior high school, I had that first Green Day record.
Yeah, but you get a pass. You were in junior high, right?
Yeah.
I feel like if you're 40, Dookie's my that album moves my soul. It's okay.
Yeah.
Move something.
I saw one of my bands played punk rock bowling, and we played with David Yao's Flipper.
Oh wow, cool!
That was really great.
I don't know that band, but I know I saw David Yao. I've never seen Jesus Lizard, and I've heard they're amazing.
Yeah, I want to see that.
I love, and I'm a huge Dwayne Dennison fan. But I saw a band with actually another band that was Dwayne Dennison and David Yao. That was I'm thinking of the right guy, right? He's the Jesus Lizard singer, right?
Yeah.
They were in another band called God damn it, something like USSA, I think. Have you ever heard of them?
That sounds kind of familiar, but
USSA, and I don't know if they ever did more. Maybe have a couple albums, did a tour. It was a really funny thing. I was walking down the street in kind of downtown Austin. And it's rarely ever happens, right? It's happened a few times, and it's always something really cool. And I'm just walking past a bar, and I hear this music, and I'm like, that sounds really cool. And I remember being like, oh man, the guitar tone's badass. Of course, it's Dwayne Dennison who's just king, a badass guitar tone. And so I go in there and I was like, who are these guys? Oh, holy shit. And it was like, yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah.
Flippers? Is that what you said that was called?
Flipper. Yeah,
Flipper?
Flipper. It's actually a punk band from like I think the same like 1970s, maybe late 70s, early 80s.
Oh wow, okay.
And they were just like notorious like addicts, like so a lot of their tunes are very like drudgy and like repetitive, but they're great. So the singer died, of course, drug overdose. And then, so David Yao has been singing from them from time to time. Yeah. There's this really great band in Austin. I was going to ask if you've ever heard of them, but I have to, because the memory thing, I have to look them up.
It's so cool that you got an organized system there, though, of like cool bands and venues that you can reference.
Yeah.
It seems like you've got a spreadsheet going or something.
Well, I'm honestly just looking at old show flyers.
Oh, that works too.
Yeah, or like I was looking at my tour like poster that we made when I was like naming off those venues in the US. And
that was all DIY, those that you did those tours?
Yeah. And then a cool DIY venue in LA area is called The Factory. I feel like I'm also pretty spacey because I've been working overnights on a TV show, so I'm like all kind of like weird in the brain.
Well, wait, did you say that the Mayans is what you've been working on lately?
That show's ended. I'm on a different show now because it's like out. That's how like he's watching it.
I see.
So,
right, yeah.
So we stopped filming. I'm on a different show now. I can't tell you what it is, but it's like a military show based off of a book that's supposed to be coming out.
Oh, yeah, I can. It's a TV show?
Yeah.
Does it have?
I know it is.
You do? Oh.
I do.
Or you
I
edit
do.
this, right? Ah, I'm not gonna do it. I signed an NDA.
Don't do it. I don't want to.
Signed an NDA. Legal
I don't want to
shit.
have to. Yeah, I don't want to have to do anything.
Yeah. I'm pretty. I will say I'm pretty sure.
Here's something. Yeah, Vic is good at this, but he won't blow your cover because this happened to us not too long ago, actually. From another guy that was out in LA who played with a band, and then I was like, it was a big thing. I'm not even going to go into details, and I was like, oh, so who were you with on that? And he was like,
can't say.
Yeah. And then he started talking about the dynamics of it, and Vic was like, figured it out. And so after the podcast, we're like, no fucking way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of that like line of work is very hush hush, like when you're working on it. Like after the fact and it's been released, you could talk about it, but as you're working on it, like they're really strict. Like when I worked in the effects lab, like as opposed to on set for the Predator, the most recent Predator that came out, and that was like crazy strict because fans are super crazy. Like, all the big shows are like. I did Star Trek season 1 of the Picard series, and that was another like people would show up. I barely even knew what I was doing. Like that's how secretive it was. Like you show up to work, you get a box of prosthetics. You don't really know what you're on, but you put it together.
Like, rub this on this person's face, but don't look at them.
Yeah, like the people, like, because I was like doing background, and the people that were hired for background weren't told what the show is. But of course, you guess when you are like,
yeah.
Oh, there's Patrick
Well, do you have to
Stewart.
sign what do they call them? Non-disclosure agreements or whatever? Do you have to sign that stuff?
Yeah, an NDA,
Yeah. Well, you know what's cool about this is that Vic already knows what this show is, so when the podcast is over, he'll tell me, and then I'll just go around saying like, "Oh yeah, I totally know someone who's working on that show."
Yeah, it's funny. Like I've never it's hard for me to imagine like if I were to say something like on this, like how it would come back to me. But But it
wouldn't, because we don't have a big audience. So
We
you're
have
pretty
tens
safe.
of fans. Yeah.
Yeah, we can blunder pretty hardcore on this show. That's if we actually had a big audience, yeah, I'd probably be editing stuff like, oh, that I can't do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But now we just say whatever. But no, well, no pressure. We're not gonna make you tell us what it is.
Cool.
That's where Vic's Google skills come in.
I know. I can't find the name of that band. I'm fucking bummed about it. Like
The Austin band?
Yeah.
What kind of style? What were they like? Were that punk rock or what?
Leatherhand.
Yeah, it was a punk band, and they were like homies. And I can't believe I'm brain farting on the name of their band. But they would very like queer front singer, and it was a punk band. And then they all dressed up, and I want to say it's like lipstick something, but I can't remember. And I wish I could, because they were so good. And on that tour where we met them on in Austin, at the time, Egrets had this EP, and my singer, he was like a big acid guru at the time. He wanted to buy a vial of acid and put a drop or a couple of drops on like a certain amount of the EPs on the white like paper part. And,
wow.
Yeah. So we had like this special amount of EPs that had a tab of acid on them, and those like sold very quickly, of course. Like
right.
at shows, we'd be like, "Do you want the acid one or one without acid?"
Wow.
And some people, would commonly take the acid one. But so the singer of this band in Austin that I'm talking about, he told us, he hit us up like after the fact, like the next day or whatever, and he got an acid tab, and he said that he put the white paper part through a paper shredder and then put the paper shred, because he couldn't find where the tab was, because we had like a riddle that pointed to the tab, and then it was like,
oh my god,
I mean, very obvious like drop.
This is the acid tab.
but he couldn't find it, so he ate the whole thing in a bowl, shredded paper with sriracha sauce. And, like, this band was just crazy, which made them so cool because they were so wild. But
I'm just gonna expect like a random 4 a.m. text at some point from you, like, blah, like that's the band. Whenever it pops into your head, I want to know who it is.
Okay, yeah, I will.
Do you remember the venue, or have you played Austin several times?
I have. I think it was
venues here.
I think it was 523.
Oh boy, I don't remember that venue. Do you remember that, Vic? Is that it? I don't remember that. When was this?
This was back in probably it's probably like 5 years ago or something at this point.
That doesn't ring a bell. Was it kind of underground, off the beaten path punk rock kind of thing, or what?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it wasn't like a super big venue. But yeah, I'll text you. I'm like trying to backtrack and find it, but there's some things I think have been like deleted, some like show flyers from. Anyway, but yeah, I like Austin. I like playing Austin and San Antonio.
Yeah. Let us know when you're tour again. If you're
if that ever happens.
Yeah. Well, I think it's going to. I for the longest time things have been postponed and put off, and I've had no desire to play and haven't, wanted to try to force anything. And I mean, it sucks to see all the venues going under and all that, but I really starting to feel like things are going to, everyone's getting vaccinated, I think things are going to start kind of coming back around and popping late summer, fall, maybe. I mean, I expect to like probably be able to tour again next year. Yeah.
I really have no idea.
Well, what's LA like? Are y'all still pretty hardcore shut down over there? Or because Austin was just like, everybody do whatever you want.
I mean, things are opening up again for sure. I'm not exactly going out to them. Mostly just because I'm working, and because because I'm working so much, and because if anything happens, like they're so strict with work that I don't really want to be the asshole that like goes around hundreds of people,
right? Yeah,
and then shows up to work the next day. Like,
well, good for you for not being a fucking asshole.
But things are opening up here, like restaurants and stuff. Some things you could dine in at. And I heard about some venues thinking about opening up, but they're all like the venues that were kind of like gross that you would want to avoid anyway.
Like the Sunset venues or what?
No, like Long Beach, like in the like.
I don't even know what that means, but
I know. Yeah, but we'll see. Like, there's been shows going on. Like, I've seen videos of like some punk bands playing outside during the pandemic, and I just had no interest in trying. Like, I miss shows, but I don't want to attend one like in the heat of the pandemic. Like a bunch of sweaty punk dudes unmasked, like. Even though you're outside.
Well, that's the thing, you know. I really think that that's the thing with this style. Well, first of all, you're at a bar, or maybe it's an outdoor thing, but especially like bars. I want them to be able to open. I want to be able, but the reality is, people go there, they're drinking. I mean, I remember the one show that I had that was supposed to be like a festival that has been postponed. That I think will finally happen this year in August. That. I still had a couple of bands play. We kept, one of the dates, but it was a smaller thing, and the social distancing and mask and all these things. And the venue handled it great, and it was fine. But then I remember, I'm outside, and like people are outside smoking cigarettes and blowing smoke in my face. And I'm like, well, if you fucking have COVID, I just got goddamn COVID. It doesn't matter that you're blowing smoke in my face, And so there's that. And people are drinking, and they're, I love you, bro. And you're getting all up on each other. And like you said, at a rock metal show, people are going to be, Yeah. That is just a bad environment. It's just, I mean, maybe if you're going to go watch, sort of like a folky singer songwriter thing, that's much easier, right? Because
like those places were already like a cesspool of germs and like whatever.
Exactly.
Else. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the Flaming Lips did that show where everyone's in bubbles.
Yes.
And I was like, why don't they just give everyone their bubble guy? Like, come on, Flaming Lips. Like, help the world and the musicians and
they're so
keep music
selfish,
alive,
those guys.
And give us your bubble guy. Like if we just all had shows, like it actually sounds pretty interesting. Everyone's in a bubble.
Well, I don't know if this pandemic has made me, but that could be an age thing too. I think it hit the perfect time for me, and because I have the luxury of being like, well, I already went and did all the dumb shit, and I have no desire to go out now. I can just be a grumpy guy that sits at home, but like. I know it's like hard because young people want to go out and be dumb, right? That's what young people do, right? You go to bars and fuck around and try to get laid and all this shit. I get it, but it's not a good time for it. And now I'm wondering if the pandemic has had this effect on me, where I'm kind of like I don't ever want to leave my house again. Like I went to like I had to go to like the hardware store today and like go by and I was just like. Why are there so many people here? This is an outrage, And I was like disgusted to see human beings doing things.
Yeah. No,
so like now I'm all spoiled, Like, oh man, traffic's gonna come back. It must be great in LA. Like you actually got probably drive around with. No, I mean, I guess if you're driving around at 4 a.m., you're probably not dealing with traffic. You're out on the only time when you don't have to see traffic. Maybe.
Well, actually, like when I get out of work, sometimes with overnights like that, like if I get out of work at 6 in the morning, I'm in morning traffic, which is like the hardest because all you want to do is get home. You've been up all night and you're like falling asleep, like in bumper to bumper traffic. Just like, please,
LA is
need to get home.
Like Austin is horrible. The traffic here is horrible, but LA is worse. Like LA is just.
I mean, it's
so
bad. Like it's trafficy now. Like
no, yeah. Like today when I was out, I was like, Jesus Christ, man, it's fucking nuts.
Yeah, but I definitely know what you mean. Like. I definitely have become more of a homebody in the pandemic. Like I think I was already kind of becoming that way. Like I miss shows now, but before the pandemic happened, I was kind of like over it. Like I would go to my own shows that I needed to play. I would go and play them, and then like I would show up right beforehand usually, and then leave kind of like right after,
Not talk to anybody. Just so stuck up.
That's right.
Just
yeah.
Protect the voice.
Unless it was like my good friends or something playing or whatever, you know what I mean? But I was just like kind of had it up to here. Like I've been to so many shows and like I've seen the same people time and time again. And a lot of times it's like these fake people that you're talking to with like shallow conversations. And I was just like, fucking whatever. Like, but now like I was like that, and now I actually miss it, you know? Like, I actually want to go to the venue and see all those faces. Like, I'll be so excited when I, like, attend a show, and it's all these faces of the people that I was, like, kind of didn't care about seeing before. Now I'm like...
You used to drive me crazy, but now I want to have a drink with you. And then after that one show, you'll be like, okay, fuck off. I forgot. You're really annoying, actually.
I don't know if I ever came out.
Performing, like, Prissy Whip, particularly, I miss performing with, because it's like, man, there's just nothing like performing. Mm-hmm. And with Prissy Whip, like, I get to just be the most, like, maniac fucking person. Mm-hmm. Like, I could tap into, like, all of my anger, all of my neuroses, just like that. Like, it's like I escaped from the insane asylum. Like, that, all that, like, comes out. And I get to, like, be this character, and it actually releases a lot of stuff that, like is just kind of bottled in anxieties or something. So I miss performing immensely.
Yeah, I hear that. The thing is like, man, I want to go now that this whole thing has happened. I haven't performed in so long. I just want to skip all that stuff and be a rock star. Like, that's because I like that part. I just don't like all the other stuff. I don't like driving, unloading gear. Yeah. If I just had a handler that could do everything for me, then I'd be like, this is great. I can just get up on stage and be a maniac.
Yeah. Woo-hoo. Touring as a singer was like a whole different experience of touring as a guitar player. I was so happy we didn't have to park far away and figure out, like, loading in amps, like, or whatever. Going upstairs, like...
Yeah, oh, God.
Everywhere on the East Coast is up fucking stairs. Like, I felt so bad for them with carrying all their... I mean, I helped with some things, but... they mostly...
Yeah, that's the nice thing about being the singer. You're just like, well, I got my microphone.
Let me help
See you guys in the venue.
Yeah.
Yeah, even places that we would stay at, which then you don't want to leave the gear in the van. So you have to unload again and go upstairs.
Oh my God, yeah. Ugh, yeah. It's
people.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard work. It's fun, but it's a lot of work. It's very exhausting.
Yeah.
When you get done with a tour, you're just like, all right, I want to sleep for like a week. In a bed.
Yeah, in my own
comfortable bed.
In a comfortable bed. Yeah.
And I can at least shower in a shower that I know is not absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, I want to not talk to anyone for at least a week. Especially my bandmates.
Yeah. Right. Oh, yeah, right? Yeah. Yeah. I think in a weird way, like, so for me, though, it's like, sometimes everybody, like, time off isn't always a bad thing. And it can hit, like, for you, it sucks, about this European thing.
Yeah.
And, I was in a situation where I finally, with that Invincible Czars band, was doing these tours with them, and it was great, and I love it, And it was the first time I did a West Coast tour all the way up to Canada, and this whole big thing, and I was super, and then none of that happened. But it'll come back around. And on the other side of that, though, just from years of kind of relatively being, like, constantly, out doing things, it was kind of like nice.
Yeah.
And what I hope that the thing is too, hopefully, like, for the bands, but also, like, for the fans and the people that support that, there's this hunger, right? And that's been missing, that people will come out and support live music and really support the local artist. And
I hope so too.
I hope that is the kind of a residual of this that's a positive, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah.
Well, what's your fifth band? I don't think we got 5 yet. I think we got 4. And then we'll let you go.
Okay. Fifth band. Let me see. Although I don't think you would like... I was gonna, like, try to be a... like, some drama and, like, name, like, a local one, but then you guys wouldn't know them.
Calling people out on our podcast.
Let's choose, like, a bad punk band, like a bad old school.
Oh, yeah, because I want to know what a bad old school punk band is, actually.
I know. Well,
because I know what, like, bad new punk band. Like, I think of, like, the pop punk or, like, Green Day, right? Like, that's
Yeah.
It's not like they're bad, but it's annoying, and it's not punk. Like, don't call it punk, you know?
I know. There's a lot of that, and it's bad. But even, like there's bands that, like, even I loved, and, like, you know, I appreciate them for what they did and who they are and the type of music. But even bands like The Germs, like, you know, like, I like The Germs, but they're kind of a bad band.
Yeah, but, like,
But
in that genre, like, it's almost a rite of passage. It's kind of tricky, right? Because it's almost like it's cool to be terrible.
Exactly.
Right? So, I don't know.
I actually like when I get to play with a lot of, like, old school punk people, and, like, they'll give you, like, all of their stories about the bands back in the days, and they'll just talk a bunch of shit about, like, some of the bands, like, because I play with the Deadbeats and stuff like that, and they all have, like, their kind of dramas, like Deadbeats had drama with this band called The Weirdos. It's like LA. I don't know if you know them.
Oh yeah.
Band.
Well, like drama, like rivalry type stuff, or what?
Yeah. Like,
yeah.
He, like, I guess, like, the guitarist from The Weirdos, like, kicked Scott from the Deadbeats brothers in the head or something, so they're like, fuck the Weirdos, you know? And then, like, Egrets went on tour with the Weirdos, and the Weirdos were like, oh man, all these bands playing, like, their same 5 songs for the past 20 years, like the Avengers, like, which
that's
true.
A good point, yeah.
Yeah.
You're right, yeah. There are, well, what's funny about so many bands, whether it's, you know, I guess could be punk rock, it could be a lot of these kind of 80s bands, it's hilarious because they'll fucking tour under this name because they kind of had this one, you know, hit in the 80s, you know, glam rock scene, and it's not even any of the same guys, or it's like one guy who's like the son of the original bass player or some bullshit, and they're just touring under this fucking this name, just playing one fucking, like, kind of sort of hit from 1987 or some shit, you know?
And it somehow becomes like dad rock, like it, like, I don't know what it.
Well, and I've seen some of those, like, bands kind of come through, and there's, like, not even anybody there. I'm like, how are you fucking people getting, like, guarantees and shit? There's, like, no one's even like what? Who's going, like, I can't wait to see. Well, there's a specific band I'm, like, thinking of that they've toured, and, like, what are they called? It's just funny, and I wish I could think of who it was, because I remember they played one time, like, after a show that I think I was at, that a friend played at or something, and there was, like, nobody there. And the manager's, like, counting all this money, like this old creepy Hollywood guy, you know, I want some ecstasy, little boy. and you know, just, like, talking up like this band. I'm like, dude, there's, like, 8 people in this fucking venue. You guys are not rock stars. I'm sorry. Like, nobody gives a shit about you.
Yeah.
I wish I could think of that fucking band now, too, because Vic, you would know the name. They played here a bunch. And, like, Red Eyed Fly for, like, 4 people. I can't think of what the hell they're called.
Oh man, yeah, this is like fucking brain fart central over here. Okay, 5th band that I'm putting on the boat. Going down on the boat.
It's appalling, Vic, how much trouble people have thinking of these bands they hate. It's disturbing to me. Ooh. Do you want me to give you a 5th band? I'll give you one.
Well, it's almost like there's so, like, it's almost like when you're looking at a menu and there's too many options. That
it's like, you're right. It's like Cheesecake Factory of bad
yeah.
bands. Right. Yeah.
Then you don't know, like, what to choose because there's just so many.
Well, it's, you know, look, we understand there's a ton of bad bands. So, like, if you forget to say Smash Mouth, it's okay. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Smash Mouth was our decided. They are the band that's literally going to be playing while the. Why did I do this? Like, they play fucking violin. They don't play violin.
Yeah.
They rip off Doors
Smash
keyboards
Mouth.
lines. Yeah.
Yellow Card. It's another one.
There's like all those really, like, lame 90s. Well, that's the thing too. Like, right, the early 90s were good, but there was a lot of lame, like, alternative bands that were just kind of, like, boring.
Yeah, like, what's
I'd
that
say this
one,
because
like,
I heard, like, one song on the radio, but I assume I'm like, your band sucks because you had one song on the radio that was not very good.
The, like, Heart in a Blender song. What band did that? You know, like, Heart in a Blender, ding and away with a beautiful oblivion. That band could go on the boat.
They sound like Titanic material. I don't know who it is, but
a lot of like emo stuff could go on the boat.
oh yeah, no doubt.
I know that song. I just can't remember who sang it.
Yeah,
but it was
they
like
were,
on the radio all the time.
Yeah, they're like on Now 5 or whatever. Like a lot of those bands could go on the boat.
Also, bands with numbers in their title kind of annoy me a bit, honestly. What's up with that, right? Like,
I don't know. I could think of some good ones. Like I like Sham 69.
I don't know who that is. But like Blink what was the deal with Blink 182 and Sum 41? Like, where do those names come from?
Yeah,
I think like wasn't Sum 41 like kind of cool and then they just got kind of poppy or something? I don't know. I'm speaking out of my ass. I don't know anything about them.
I think those bands had like a string of coolness that happened and then and then like fame or something, you know, like sold out, dude. Oh
that's
yeah,
what happens.
Eve 6. That's right.
Eve 6, Maroon 5.
They could go on the boat. Dashboard
Eve 6,
Confessional could go on the boat.
There was some band that was like Finger 11 or something.
Yeah, they could go on the boat.
What was the Rob Thomas band? Was it Matchbook 20?
Matchbox 20, Bobby Book Outlaws.
Yeah.
Matchbox 20.
They go on the boat. Yeah. See, now once you get going, you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
And they all have numbers though. Yeah.
It's like the opposite of Noah's Ark. We're not trying to save animals. We're just like, every bad band, get the fuck on there.
Yeah.
We don't even have to sink it. We can be cool. You know, we don't have to be animals about it. We can just put them out at sea forever and they can all play their sonic horribleness together and it just floats over the ether in the middle of an ocean where nobody can hear it. It doesn't affect and harm us. And the rest of us can listen to good music for the rest of our lives. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Just go plant the boat right there.
Yeah.
In Purgatory, Bermuda Triangle, fucking biscuits.
Yeah, I think that was a good like 20 bands on the boat.
No, well, I'm very. You've been a good. This is how we judge our guests, by the way. You've been a great guest because I agree with your musical taste. You passed the test.
Oh, good.
Shit, Titanic bands. You answered all the. You weren't. You didn't say something outrageous like Alice in Chains. We had a guy on the show. He's a friend of mine, but. He just started hating on Alice in Chains. I was like, who are you? I mean, I don't know. Do you like Alice in Chains?
I mean, I think I used to have an Alice in Chains patch. Like, I think I also had like a 9 Inch Nails patch or something at the time. But
so clearly you're a massive fan.
There's things. I never was like diehard Alice in Chains, but I had their record and there's things that I like about that band.
Yeah, you know they're not. They're not Smash Mouth. In other words.
Yeah.
They're not terrible horribleness. Speaking of like Trent Reznor and 9 Inch Nails, like, man, I saw them a few years back, put on a great show. And did you ever see the video? I think it was in the early 90s. They did a remake and I didn't even know it for years. And I never heard the original, which is badass too. But the Bowie song, I'm Afraid of Americans. Did you ever hear that remake with Trent Reznor?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the video, speaking of cool videos, that's a badass video.
Yeah. Trent Reznor is pretty amazing. You know who I always wanted to see that I haven't is Tool.
I finally saw Tool a few years ago, and it was badass. And here's what there's two things really cool about the concert. So they did a full set and then an intermission and then another set. And they kind of ramped it up. Like they had the cool things happening in the first set, but then the second set, it really like they brought even more visuals and it was just, and I got stoned between the two sets. So I think that probably also had something to do with it, but it was a really good show for sure.
Yeah.
Like,
oh man, I saw Roger Waters, do The Wall. The Pink Floyd's The Wall. Yeah. Fuck. I saw that on mushrooms and it was so crazy.
Whoa. Wow.
It was amazing until I had to leave the venue and find my car. Then all things went downhill.
Did you not have a didn't have a babysitter? You were on your own?
I did have a babysitter. But
I can't even remember where I parked.
Stoned.
Yeah, I cannot even remember where I parked sober. Like, I'm the worst. Like, I'm just kind of a space cadet like that. I can't even imagine if, like, being on shrooms or something. I just can't even. Wow.
Yeah, and, like, being in the crowd, it was really intense. Like, when everyone's leaving, like, and you're, like, in the cow herd trying to leave, it was just like, oh,
I saw that show total old man style with a Coke and a box of popcorn. I straight up just bought popcorn.
Yeah.
Fucking sitting there watching the wall. It was so amazing, man.
Yeah.
God, that was good.
Yeah,
it was so good.
Amazing. Super amazing. Yeah.
Vic, you ever see that? you ever see Roger Waters or Floyd or any of that?
No. I wouldn't mind I would like to have seen Pink Floyd. I was thinking about Tool, and I'm like, I don't think I ever saw a Tool. I saw Perfect Circle.
Mm.
That would have been cool.
That?
That was really good.
Yeah. That's cool.
I love their first album. I don't really know much of their other
Yeah,
stuff.
the first album was great.
Really
the second album, I'm just tired. I can't remember what was on the second album.
Why are you tired, Vic? I can't imagine why you'd possibly be tired.
I feel like I'm
Poor Vic, this
progressively
happened-
getting more tired during the show.
Vic is just falling asleep. He's been moving all day, and we're just like, so
Like, blah, blah, blah.
7 hours into the podcast, I'm like,
I
you
know.
still haven't listed your fifth band that's going to go down on the Titanic.
I know. Yeah, I'm tired as fuck too, to be honest. Which is making me born brain farty.
No, it makes for good entertainment. Just tired as fuck. You're gonna wake up tomorrow and be like, "Oh fuck, what was all the dumb shit that I said on that podcast? I was talking about watching shit on shrooms, and I think I insulted my friend's band, and I said the TV show that I." Well, you're gonna text tomorrow and be like, "Did I mention the TV show?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, totally. You totally just said all the shit you were working on that's super secret."
Blacklisted in the industry.
Well, hopefully the two people that listen to this podcast are not connected to your Hollywood, network. So I think you'll be safe.
Yeah.
Anywho, where can people find you? We'll wrap up with get back to your music. And one more time. So all the bands, I'm assuming, have a website. Do you have a website?
I do have a website. I don't know if it matters to have a website these days for bands, but we all have them.
It sounds cool and official, though.
I think Prissy Whip just has a Bandcamp, actually. I don't know if it has a website, but Egrets has a website. Crow Jane has a website, which is just crowjanenoise.com, I think.
Okay.
And we all have Bandcamps, Egrets and Ergot, Prissy Whip, Crow Jane. That's where you could find the music, and that's where you could buy the music, and that's where most of your money goes to the people that create the music, as opposed to Spotify. Just saying. But it's all on all the platforms like, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes. It's on all the things. Yeah. Instagram.
That's it. Thanks for joining us. Bye.
Instagram. Yeah.
All the stupid shit. Do you spend days creating dance TikTok videos?
I know.
Who has time for this shit? I see these TikTok videos. I'm like, what do you people do? Like, how do they have time for these things?
I know. I've had multiple social media people that do run my accounts, and they always tell me it's really smart as a musician to have a TikTok.
You're
you
right.
need to
Want to
do
try to stay up.
Yeah, so I even tried. I mean, I stopped posting on it a while ago, but the thing is that people mostly care about you dancing around in your pajamas on TikTok. They don't care about
Vic is
my
so
cool
popular.
art. Yeah.
No, that's it, right? And I love animals, but the simple fact of the matter is I could get out there and be like, right, today I'm playing Dark Side of the Moon in its entirety behind my head on TikTok, and 100 views, and then someone's like, watch my dog eat a piece of cheese, 4 million views, So it's just
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
we all know this. Cool. Well, Crow Jane, thank you so much for joining us. This has been fun.
Thanks for having me. Yeah. I will, are you going to send this to me or something? Is that the deal?
Yeah, it'll probably be 6 months. We're so we're so fucking behind. Victor's been moving. I've got a billion things going on, so we're it's going to be a few weeks. But whenever it gets to be that time, I'll hit you up and we'll be like, yo, send us a photo and a song, and then we'll let you know when it's out for sure, or coming out.
Sounds good.
Cool.
Yeah. All right.
In the meantime,
and by then your new TV show will be out.
Yeah. I was going to say you could probably watch the Mayans, right? Catch some of your work there. Awesome.
Yeah.
I need to catch up.
Yeah. What a cool job. That's really cool.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah, I'm a lucky person for sure.
And good people. It's a lot of cool folks that that I kind of sort of know down in them there parts in the southern parts of Cali.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Right,
well, we will talk to you later. Have a good night. Thanks for joining us once again. Eclectic Soundtrax. Scott Manhattan, Victor Rhymes. Until next time. Bye. Hang tight.
Mirrors, repetition, bounce. What you see, what you've done, what you get. But in my head, there's no end, and it was done, done. Done, done. What to be, what to feel, where you spent. Can't you see that it is done, done. Done, done. Who to be, where to live, what to conquer. When to quit, don't you see, don't you get it is done, done. There's only space. We can't get away from how this is, how this is. Filled with fear, doubts and despair. You plead your guilt, I shed my shame, but we can't quite pinpoint who or what is to blame.